He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior. Confucius, though often embraced by Stoic philosophy for its timeless wisdom. What if I told you that understanding just a few key truths about female psychology could completely transform your confidence and communication? Not just with women, but in every area of your life. Imagine effortlessly navigating conversations, reading between the lines, and creating deeper connections without second-guessing yourself. In this video, we're diving deep into 9 powerful female psychology facts every man should know. These aren't just random tips. They're backed by psychology and real-life insights that will help you decode behaviors, respond with clarity, and boost your self-assurance. Whether you're trying to build meaningful relationships or simply want to communicate better, these truths will give you an edge. So stay with me until the very end because the last fact will blow your mind. It's a game changer that most men completely overlook. Ready to unlock the secrets and step into your most confident, charismatic self? Let's get started. Number 1. Women are highly intuitive and pick up on subtle cues. You might not always realize it, but women have a remarkable ability to pick up on things you don't even say out loud. It's like they have this radar for subtle cues, a glance, a slight change in tone, the way you hold yourself. All of it communicates volumes. And if you want to connect on a deeper level, you need to become aware of this powerful dynamic. The truth is, you're constantly sending signals, whether you intend to or not. So the question isn't whether she's picking up on these subtle messages. It's whether you're sending the right ones. You have to take control of your presence, your energy, and your expressions because these small details shape how she perceives you far more than any words could. Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." What if you applied this wisdom to your interactions? Instead of worrying about grand gestures or perfect lines, focus on mastering the quiet language your body and mind are already speaking. Your calmness, your confidence, your eye contact, these things speak louder than you think. When you align your inner state with the signals you give off, you create a powerful harmony that resonates deeply. It's about being authentic but also aware. Awareness is your secret weapon here. Here's a simple but effective exercise. Start by tuning into your own body language throughout the day. Notice your posture, your facial expressions, how you move. Are you relaxed or tense, open or closed off? Practice shifting to a more confident and calm state, even if just for a moment. This isn't about pretending, it's about choosing your responses deliberately. Once you get comfortable with this, you'll notice how those subtle shifts impact your interactions, especially with women who are naturally attuned to this kind of nonverbal communication. Next, sharpen your observation skills. Pay close attention to her subtle reactions. Is she mirroring your movements? Does her tone soften when she talks to you? Is there a flicker of curiosity or warmth in her eyes? These little details are windows into how she feels, and catching them gives you a chance to respond authentically and confidently. Remember, attraction often happens beneath the surface, in the unspoken dance of gestures, expressions, and energy. Don't just hear her words, listen to everything else. Epictetus taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." So, when you notice these subtle cues, don't overthink or get caught up in anxiety. Instead, practice calm curiosity. Let your responses be measured and intentional. This will not only make you more attractive, but also help you stay grounded and confident. The more you train yourself to read and respond to these silent signals, the more natural and powerful your presence becomes. Start incorporating this mindset into your daily interactions. Even outside of romantic contexts, being attuned to subtle cues will improve your communication and relationships overall. This is a skill you build over time, a quiet mastery that separates the ordinary from the exceptional. Your goal is to be the man who doesn't just talk but truly connects, the one who understands the unspoken language of attraction. So commit to this practice. Observe your own body language, notice her subtle signals, and respond with calm confidence. This is where true connection begins. When you can master this, you step into a space of effortless communication and magnetic presence. You become the man who's not just heard but deeply felt. That's the power of tuning into subtle cues, and it's waiting for you to unlock. Number 2, emotional connection matters more than logic. Here, something you need to get clear in your mind. When it comes to connecting with women, emotional connection trumps logic every single time. You might be wired to solve problems, analyze, and offer logical solutions because that's how many of us have been conditioned to communicate. But the truth is, women often operate on a different wavelength when it comes to relationships. They're looking for feelings, resonance, that deep human experience you can't measure with cold facts or rational arguments. So, if you want to boost your confidence and improve your communication, you have to start shifting your approach. Move away from trying to be the fixer and start becoming the man who understands and values emotional connection. The Stoics remind us, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. What if you wasted time insisting on logic when what really matters is tuning in emotionally? The ancient wisdom here is profound. Don't waste your energy on what doesn't build connection. Emotional presence, empathy, and understanding are the tools you need to master. You don't have to be a therapist or a poet. Just learn to listen beyond words, feel the energy, the tone, the subtle cues. That's where connection grows. You want to start practicing this right now. Next time you're in a conversation, especially one that feels tense or serious, pause. Don't jump in with solutions or try to convince her with logic. Instead, listen. Feel what's really underneath her words. Ask questions that invite her to share more about her feelings, not just facts. How did that make you feel? What was going through your mind? These are simple but powerful shifts that show you're not just hearing words, you're connecting to the experience. Embracing emotional connection means you become comfortable with vulnerability, not just hers, but yours too. It's okay to admit when you don't have the answers or when you don't fully understand. In fact, showing that openness creates a safe space for real intimacy. Said, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. So if emotional connection feels challenging at first, lean into it. Use it as a path, not a barrier. Here's an exercise. At the end of each day, reflect on your conversations. Were you quick to jump in with logic? Did you ask about feelings or stay on the surface? Write down one moment where you could have gone deeper emotionally. Then, plan how you'll approach a similar situation tomorrow. Over time, this practice rewires your mindset, making emotional connection second nature. Remember, it's not about abandoning reason altogether. Stoicism teaches balance. Logic and emotion aren't enemies but partners. Your job is to honor both, but when it comes to relationships, lean into the emotional side more often. Women want to feel understood and valued for who they are inside, not just judged by the facts they present. By doing this, you're not only improving your communication skills, you're building confidence that comes from genuine connection. Confidence that isn't about being right or having all the answers, but about being present, compassionate, and real. This is the kind of confidence that draws people in effortlessly. So start now. Tune into emotions, listen deeply, ask with curiosity, and be willing to be vulnerable. This isn't just advice, it's a game changer. The moment you prioritize emotional connection over logic, you'll see everything shift. Your conversations get richer, your relationships grow stronger, and your confidence, it soars, grounded in the powerful human truth that connection is about feeling, not just thinking. Number 3, communication style is often indirect and nuanced. You need to understand something fundamental about how women communicate. It's often indirect, layered with subtle cues and packed with nuance. This isn't some complicated puzzle designed to frustrate you. It's simply a different style that's deeply rooted in psychology and social dynamics. Women frequently express themselves through hints, tone shifts, body language, and implied meaning rather than blunt, straightforward statements. If you're used to direct, no-nonsense communication, this can feel like decoding a secret language. But here's the truth. When you start tuning into these softer signals, your confidence will skyrocket, and your ability to connect will reach new levels. Said, if someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth, by which no one was ever truly harmed. This mindset applies perfectly here. Instead of dismissing indirect communication as confusing or evasive, lean into it. Embrace the challenge. Shift your perspective from needing to solve or fix every interaction to simply observing, listening, and adapting. This subtle art of paying attention to what's said and unsaid is your gateway to better understanding and more meaningful connections. Here's a practical step you can take right now. Start practicing active observation. When you're talking to someone, catch yourself before jumping to conclusions or rushing to respond. Instead, slow down. Notice the tone of her voice, the pauses between words, the glances she throws your way, the small changes in her expression. These are clues, not just random noise. Learn to ask yourself, what might she be implying here? What is she trying to say without saying it outright? This kind of mental exercise rewires your mind to become more sensitive to nuance, which in turn makes you a more confident and skilled communicator. Epictetus reminds us, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. This isn't just about hearing words, it's about understanding intention, emotion, and context. Women's indirect communication often carries emotional undercurrents. When you listen beyond the words, you tap into those emotions, and that's where true connection happens. The best part, the more you practice, the more natural this will feel. It's not about becoming someone you're not. It's about becoming a better version of yourself, someone who listens deeply and responds thoughtfully. Try this. Next time you have a conversation, consciously hold back from jumping in immediately. Let silence linger for a moment if you sense there's more beneath the surface. You'll be surprised how often this invites her to open up in ways she wouldn't otherwise. The pause creates space for meaning. It's like a quiet invitation to speak freely without pressure. That's where you build trust. Remember, this indirect style isn't about playing games or guessing riddles. It's about recognizing that communication is multidimensional. Women often express care, interest, or concern through nuance, and picking up on these signs makes all the difference. It's a skill worth mastering, and it's rooted in patience and presence. Seneca said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." Apply this by staying fully present in your interactions. Let go of the urge to immediately interpret or respond. Instead, savor the moment of exchange. This not only calms your mind but sharpens your perception. You become more attuned to what's truly being communicated. By embracing the indirect and nuanced style of female communication, you're not just improving your conversations, you're transforming your relationships. You're becoming someone who understands that sometimes what's not said speaks louder than words. And that awareness, it's pure power. So start today. Observe more, listen harder, respond with thoughtfulness. The confidence you gain from mastering this subtle art will ripple through every interaction, making you not only a better communicator but a man who commands respect and connection effortlessly. This is your chance to grow. Don't let it slip by. Number 4, women value empathy and active listening. You want to connect with women on a deeper level. Then you need to understand one simple but powerful truth. Women value empathy and active listening more than almost anything else in communication. It's not about having all the right answers or impressing with clever words. It's about truly tuning in, being present, and showing you care by listening with your full attention. This isn't just some advice. It's rooted in human psychology and timeless wisdom, including the Stoic teachings that emphasize presence and understanding as key virtues. Seneca once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Think about that. Listening is not just a passive act. It's an active skill that shows respect and builds trust. When you listen actively, you're telling her without saying a word, you matter. Your thoughts and feelings matter. That simple message opens doors. It creates a space where she feels safe to be herself, to share her thoughts and emotions without fear of judgment or dismissal. And this is the foundation of any meaningful connection. But active listening isn't easy. It requires practice and mindfulness. It means resisting the urge to jump in with your own story or fix the problem right away. Instead, you let her speak fully without interrupting or rushing to conclusions. This shift from wanting to respond immediately to wanting to understand fully is transformational. You're not just hearing words, you're absorbing meaning, emotions, and nuances. This kind of listening shows empathy, the ability to feel with someone, not just for them. Here, where you can take action. The next time you're talking with someone you care about, consciously slow down. Focus on what she's saying, not what you're going to say next. Notice her tone, her pauses, her body language. If you find your mind wandering or thinking about your reply, gently bring your focus back to her words. This is not about being perfect. It's about being present. Over time, this practice will become natural. You'll start catching the subtle signals that many miss, and that alone makes you stand out. Another powerful tool is to reflect back what she said in your own words. This doesn't mean parroting her, but summarizing with genuine interest, like, "So what you're saying is," or "It sounds like you're feeling." This simple habit shows you're not just hearing, but truly understanding. It validates her experience and encourages deeper sharing. Empathy isn't about agreeing with everything. It's about acknowledging her perspective without judgment. You can also practice empathy by putting yourself in her shoes. Imagine how she feels, what might be driving her thoughts or worries. Reminded us to consider things from other perspectives to cultivate wisdom and compassion. Try to see beyond your own viewpoint and appreciate her world. This mental exercise trains you to respond with kindness and patience instead of impatience or defensiveness. Start incorporating this mindset in everyday conversations. It might feel awkward at first, but remember, mastery requires effort and patience. As Epictetus said, "No great thing is created suddenly." Every moment you choose to listen actively, you're building a muscle that will strengthen your confidence and communication. You'll become a man who's not only heard but deeply understood. And here's a secret. Empathy and active listening don't just improve your relationships with women. They elevate all your connections, friends, family, colleagues. You become a better leader, a better partner, a better person. That's the kind of growth Stoicism encourages. So don't wait for the right moment. Start now. Practice presence. Listen with your heart, not just your ears. Watch how this small change rewires your interactions and lights up your confidence from within. You have the power to change how you connect. Embrace empathy. Be an active listener. Show her without words that she matters. That's how you build trust, spark desire, and create bonds that last. You're capable of this. So, lean in, listen deeply, and transform your relationships one conversation at a time. Number 5, social validation impacts self-esteem significantly. You need to understand this. Social validation isn't just some fleeting thing people chase. It's a cornerstone of how we build our self-esteem, especially for women. It's not about shallow approval or meaningless compliments. No, it goes much deeper. When someone feels seen and accepted by their social circle, whether it's friends, family, or a romantic interest, it fundamentally shapes how they view themselves. This isn't just psychology jargon. It's a real, human experience that you can learn to recognize and use wisely to improve your connections and boost your own confidence in the process. Here's the catch. Women often measure themselves through the mirror of social feedback. That doesn't mean they're superficial. It means their sense of worth is closely linked to the quality of their relationships and how those relationships reflect back on them. When you get this, it changes how you approach your interactions. You start to realize that the way you communicate, the energy you bring, and the respect you show doesn't just impact her mood, it impacts her self-esteem. And when her self-esteem grows, so does her attraction to you. Simple but powerful. Think about what's said. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. This applies perfectly here. You don't have to guess or manipulate social dynamics. Instead, focus on being the kind of man who naturally uplifts others through genuine respect and validation. That means when you engage with women, or anyone, your words and actions should affirm their value. Don't just say "nice job" or "you look great" and move on. Be intentional. Recognize their strengths, their efforts, their unique qualities. This creates an environment where they feel validated, safe, and eager to open up. Now you might wonder, how do you start? First, get really good at noticing the small things. What's she proud of? What does she hesitate to show but secretly wants acknowledgement for? Make a habit of reflecting on these details mentally, then bring them up naturally in conversation. When you do this consistently, you become a source of social validation for her, someone who boosts her confidence without even trying too hard. The key is sincerity. If you're genuine, this becomes effortless and magnetic. Here's a practical exercise. After any interaction, take a moment to mentally review what you noticed about her. What did she do well? What did she share that seemed important? The next time you see her or talk, mention one of those points. You'll be surprised how this simple act strengthens her sense of being valued. Plus, it sharpens your ability to connect on a deeper level, which in turn builds your own confidence. Because the more you practice this, the more you realize your worth isn't just about what you say, but how deeply you listen and respond. Remember Epictetus's wisdom. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Social validation works the same way. You can't control everything people think or say, but you can control the energy you bring to every interaction. You can choose to be the person who uplifts rather than tears down, who validates rather than dismisses. And trust me, this mindset shift does more than just help others. It transforms how you see yourself. When you become someone who naturally supports and validates others, your own confidence skyrockets because you know you're acting in alignment with your values. Here's another thing to keep in mind. Social validation is a two-way street. While it's important to give it, you also need to be aware of how you seek it. The Stoics teach us to find inner strength and not rely too heavily on external approval. So, practice balancing external validation with internal self-acceptance. When you master this balance, your interactions become more authentic and less anxious. You won't be desperate for approval because you already know your worth, but you'll still understand how powerful it is to give and receive meaningful validation. Start today by observing your social circles. Notice how people respond when they feel truly validated versus when they don't. Then step into the role of the man who uplifts. It might feel small at first, but these tiny moments of recognition add up. Over time, you'll see stronger bonds, more meaningful conversations, and a boost in your own confidence. This isn't just about attracting women. It's about growing into a man who communicates with empathy and strength. You've got this. Take action now and watch how your world changes. Number 6, multitasking is more natural for many women. You might have heard it before. Women are often better at multitasking than men. But let's go deeper than the. What does it really mean that multitasking feels more natural for many women? It's not just about juggling tasks or switching quickly from one thing to another. It's about an underlying wiring of the mind that handles multiple streams of information with a fluidity that seems almost effortless. Now, why should this matter to you? Because understanding this isn't just trivia. It's a game changer in how you communicate, connect, and boost your confidence when interacting with women. The Stoics teach us that nature equips each of us with strengths meant to be understood and respected. Said, adapt yourself to the life you have been given, and truly love the people with whom destiny has surrounded you. Seeing multitasking as a natural strength in women isn't about stereotype. It's about tuning into how their minds process the world differently. This awareness allows you to step into conversations and situations with greater empathy and precision. You want to improve your communication. Start by appreciating that women may switch focus from an emotional cue to practical detail in seconds, holding both in mind. This ability means when you talk to her, you might find she's processing more than just your words. She's picking up tone, body language, and even anticipating the next move. You, on the other hand, might find yourself focusing more narrowly on a single thread of the conversation. That's okay. But knowing this difference, you can train yourself to expand your attention, not to compete, but to complement. Here's your action plan. Practice mindful multitasking. Not the chaotic, distracted kind, but the kind that Stoics would call attentive presence. Start small. When you're listening to someone speak, also notice their expressions or the energy in the room. Challenge yourself to hold on to 2 or 3 observations at once without losing the main focus. This is a mental gym exercise. The more you do it, the stronger your mind becomes. Epictetus said, "No great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen." Your brain's ability to multitask can blossom, but it takes time and practice. Now, why does this matter for confidence? Because when you understand the fluid way many women's minds operate, you stop feeling overwhelmed or left behind in conversations. Instead, you learn to flow with it. You begin to see conversations as a dance where you don't have to catch every beat perfectly, but move with awareness and ease. This mindset change alone boosts your self-assurance. Plus, you get better at reading subtle shifts in mood or intent, which most people miss. That ability is pure gold in building rapport. It's like tuning into a radio frequency others don't notice. The more you practice expanding your focus, the more intuitive your communication becomes. Here's another practical tip. Next time you're talking to someone, try this simple exercise. Before you respond, take a breath and quickly scan not just their words but their gestures, the tone, and even the environment. See if you can catch at least 2 or 3 things happening simultaneously. Then respond with that fuller awareness in mind. It'll feel a bit awkward at first, but stick with it. This is how you grow. Remember, confidence is a muscle, not a trait you're born with. By embracing this understanding of multitasking and using it to your advantage, you're training your brain to handle complexity with calmness. You're turning a potential communication gap into a bridge of connection. So don't just accept what you think you know about women's multitasking. Actively engage with it. Let it challenge you to expand your own mental agility. The Stoics remind us that growth requires discomfort, but through persistence, you become stronger, wiser, and more confident. You can do this. Start now. Take that mental breath, open your senses wider, and watch how your conversations and your confidence transform. Number 7. Stress affects women's decision-making differently. You've probably noticed that stress doesn't just push everyone's buttons in the same way. When a woman is stressed, her mind works differently. Her decision-making shifts in subtle but powerful ways. Understanding this isn't about overanalyzing or trying to decode some secret code. It's about tuning into how her brain navigates pressure and learning how to respond with calm and clarity yourself. Stress, in many ways, acts like a lens, reshaping her perspective, sometimes narrowing it, sometimes heightening emotional sensitivity. This isn't a flaw, it's biology, wired deep into how female psychology works. If you can grasp this, you'll not only improve your communication but also become someone she feels safe with when things get tough. Think about what Seneca said. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Stress often inflates small worries into looming obstacles. For women, this can mean decision-making under stress might lean more towards emotional reasoning rather than cold logic. It's not about her being irrational, far from it. It's that her brain is balancing many more emotional variables in the background. So when stress hits, she might hesitate, second-guess, or even retreat from choices she would normally embrace. This is important for you to understand because your reaction can either add fuel to the fire or help put it out. Here's your chance to take action. When you sense stress in her, don't jump into problem-solving mode immediately or push for quick answers. Instead, practice patience. Breathe deeply and remind yourself of Epictetus' wisdom. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Your calm presence is like a steady anchor in her storm. Resist the urge to rush things. Let her feel your stability first. This is how trust grows. You can also train yourself to notice stress signals before they escalate. Pay attention to changes in tone, body language, or hesitation in speech. Once you spot these, lean into listening more than talking. Encourage her to share what's weighing on her mind without interrupting. When she does, reflect back what you hear, not to fix, but to acknowledge. This simple habit builds connection and helps her regain clarity naturally. It's a powerful shift from forcing decisions to creating space where her mind can reset. To build this muscle, try a simple daily exercise. The next time you're in conversation, pause before responding and ask yourself, am I reacting to the content or am I reacting to the emotion behind it? This moment of mindfulness lets you step back from your own impulses and meet her where she really is. The more you practice this, the more you'll notice how stress clouds judgment and how your steady responses can cut through that haze. Remember, stress isn't a permanent state, it's a moment in time. As put it, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. When you learn to work with stress rather than against it, you turn a challenge into an opportunity. You become the man who doesn't just communicate but connects deeply, even when the pressure's on. So start today. Notice stress signals, slow your reactions, listen deeply, and offer calm. Watch how this changes not only how she makes decisions, but how she sees you, as someone reliable, patient, and grounded. This isn't just about improving your relationships. It's about becoming someone who masters the art of presence and influence. That's the real confidence boost. You've got this. Number 8, nonverbal cues carry powerful messages. You might not realize it, but a huge part of communication isn't in the words people say. It's in the way they say them. The subtle tilt of a head, the quick glance, the way someone holds their body. These nonverbal cues carry messages far more powerful than spoken language. Women, in particular, tend to communicate a lot through these silent signals, and if you learn to read them well, you'll be miles ahead in understanding her true feelings and intentions. This isn't just about attraction. It's about tuning into the rhythm of human connection itself. So, if you want to boost your confidence and communication, the first step is to start paying serious attention to these nonverbal clues. Imagine for a moment that your words are like the surface of a lake, but beneath that surface lies a whole world of currents and movements you can't see. Nonverbal cues are those currents, sometimes gentle ripples, sometimes strong tides, that reveal what's really happening. Said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Think of nonverbal communication as the color the soul wears when words fall short. When you watch closely, you can tell if she's genuinely interested, skeptical, comfortable, or distant, all without her saying a single word. This knowledge gives you an edge to respond in ways that build trust and attraction. You have to train yourself to become an observer, not just a talker. That means when you're in a conversation, focus less on what you're going to say next and more on how she's expressing herself physically. Is she leaning in slightly when you talk? That's a green light. Does she cross her arms or look away? Maybe that's a sign to dial it back or change the topic. The more you tune into these signals, the better you'll become at reading the room, adjusting your approach, and connecting authentically. Here's a practical exercise for you. The next time you have a conversation, pick one nonverbal behavior to focus on, maybe her eye contact or the way she moves her hands. Observe it carefully. Does it change when the topic changes? Does it get more open or more closed? Reflect on what that might mean. Then, in your next interaction, use what you've learned to guide your response. This isn't about being manipulative, it's about becoming more present and responsive. As Epictetus said, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. Your ability to read and respond to these cues is your tool to shape the connection. Don't just stop at observation. Mirror her body language subtly and naturally. Mirroring creates an unconscious sense of familiarity and trust. It's like saying without words, "I'm with you." But be careful, it has to feel genuine. If you fake it, it'll backfire. Start small. If she leans forward, you lean forward. If she smiles, let a smile come to your face too. These little synchronies build rapport and make interactions flow effortlessly. Also, remember that silence and pauses speak volumes. A pause before answering, a gentle nod, or a slow blink can all communicate thoughtfulness, agreement, or interest. Don't rush to fill every silence. Sometimes giving space lets these nonverbal messages settle and makes the conversation richer. This ties back to Stoic wisdom. Silence and stillness have their power. Seneca advised, sometimes even to live is an act of courage. Sometimes, simply holding space and observing is the most courageous and effective move. Finally, practice self-awareness about your own nonverbal signals. Are you sending open vibes or shutting down before the conversation even starts? Your posture, tone, and eye contact set the stage for how she'll respond. Own your presence. Stand tall, keep your shoulders relaxed, and maintain calm, confident eye contact. Your body speaks your mindset louder than your words ever could. Nonverbal cues aren't just small gestures. They're your secret language for deeper connection and understanding. You don't have to be a mind reader or a body language expert overnight, but by committing to noticing and responding to these silent signals, you unlock a powerful dimension of communication. So start today. Look beyond the words, listen with your eyes, and let your actions speak with clarity. You're not just improving how you talk, you're mastering how you connect. And that's where true confidence begins. Number 9, trust builds slowly but breaks quickly. Trust is like a delicate thread. It takes time to weave, but it can snap in an instant. You've probably felt this in your own interactions. Building trust isn't some quick hack or overnight transformation. It's a gradual process that demands patience, consistency, and authenticity. Women, in particular, tend to be highly attuned to this because their psychology often prioritizes emotional safety and reliability. When you understand that trust builds slowly but breaks quickly, you start seeing every word, action, and gesture in a new light. It's no longer about trying to impress in flashy ways, but about showing up steadily, day after day, with honesty and respect. The moment you slip up by breaking a promise, being inconsistent, or showing insincerity, that fragile thread frays, sometimes beyond repair. Here's a Stoic reminder from Epictetus. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. What this means for you is embracing the slow, sometimes unglamorous process of building trust. It's not about winning her over with grand gestures, but about earning her confidence through small, consistent actions that add up over time. You need to be okay with the patience required, the humility to stay steady even when you don't get immediate results, and the discipline to always choose integrity over short-term gain. So what can you do right now? First, commit to being reliable. Say what you mean and mean what you say. If you promise to call or show up, do it. No excuses, no cutting corners. This builds a mental ledger in her mind. She knows you're dependable, and that's priceless. Next, practice transparency. Don't hide your true feelings or intentions. Let her see who you really are, flaws and all. This openness is a form of courage that deepens trust. It says, "I'm not perfect, but I'm honest." At the same time, keep your ego in check. Trust is shattered by selfishness and inconsistency. Seneca said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve." This means surround yourself with people who hold you accountable and push you to be better, and be that kind of person in return. Trust is a two-way street. When you nurture it in yourself and others, it flourishes. Try a practical exercise. After every meaningful interaction, reflect briefly on your words and actions. Did you act with integrity? Were you consistent? Were you clear and honest? If you find gaps, make mental notes on how to improve next time. This kind of reflection trains you to be more mindful and intentional about trust building. Over time, these small adjustments accumulate. And remember, rebuilding trust after a breach isn't impossible, but it's a steep climb. The best way to avoid that is to treat trust like a precious resource you guard carefully. When you slip, own it immediately, apologize sincerely, and show through actions, not just words, that you're committed to regaining it. This approach aligns with the Stoic principle of accepting responsibility for your faults and striving to do better. So don't rush. Don't look for shortcuts. Embrace the slow burn of trust building. Be the man whose word is his bond, whose presence is dependable, and whose honesty is unwavering. This steady foundation isn't just attractive, it's magnetic. When you make trust your priority, your confidence will naturally rise, and your communication will deepen. You'll become the kind of man women feel safe with, the kind of man who inspires respect and genuine connection. Start now. Show up consistently. Speak with integrity. Be patient. Trust will grow, and with it, so will your ability to connect on a level that goes beyond words. That's the real power, quiet, steady, unbreakable. Now that you've uncovered these 9 powerful female psychology facts, you're better equipped to connect, communicate, and confidently navigate any interaction. Remember, understanding isn't about manipulation, it's about respect, empathy, and genuine connection. So take what you've learned, put it into practice, and watch your relationships transform. If you found value in this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights that elevate your confidence and communication skills. Until next time, keep growing and stay confident. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Seneca. What if I told you that sometimes the pain you feel in a relationship isn't just bad luck or miscommunication? It's a sign she might be using you. It's a harsh truth, but one many avoid facing. If you've ever felt like you're giving more than you're getting, or like something's off but you can't quite put your finger on it, this video is for you. In today's deep dive into female psychology, we're uncovering the 9 red flags that reveal when a woman isn't genuinely invested, but instead is just using you for her own benefit. These signs are subtle, often disguised as care or interest, but recognizing them early can save you heartbreak, time, and emotional energy. So stick around till the very end, because the last few points are game changers that will open your eyes like never before. Whether you're currently in a relationship or just trying to understand past experiences, this video will empower you to protect your heart and make smarter choices in love. Ready to see beyond the surface? Let's get into it. Number 1, she only contacts you when she needs something. Let me ask you this. Have you ever noticed that she only reaches out when she wants something? When it's convenient for her, when she needs a favor, a mood boost, or just someone to fill a gap? If you're nodding right now, pay close attention, because this behavior is more than just annoying. It's a glaring sign that you might be nothing more than a resource to her, not a partner she values genuinely. When someone truly cares about you, their presence isn't conditional. They don't just show up when there's something to gain. Real connection doesn't work like that. Yet, if you find that she vanishes into thin air the moment the need is gone, it's time to wake up. It's not about being bitter or cynical, but about protecting your own energy and worth. Said, choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. This means you have the power to decide how you allow others to treat you. Don't let her habit of using you as a tool chip away at your sense of self. Here's the truth. You deserve someone who reaches out because they want to share their day with you, not just because they want you to fix their problems or fill a temporary void. You deserve connection that's consistent, not conditional. And recognizing this pattern is your first step toward reclaiming your time and emotional bandwidth. Now you might think, but isn't it normal to ask for help sometimes? Absolutely. We all need support now and then. The difference lies in balance. Are you the go-to person only when the chips are down? Or does she engage with you in the good moments too? If it's the former, then it's time to shift gears. Start by observing your interactions without judgment. Notice how often she initiates contact just to ask for something. No small talk, no genuine check-ins, just requests. Write it down if it helps. Keep track for a week. Awareness is power. Once you see the pattern clearly, your mind stops spinning excuses and starts seeing reality. Next, create boundaries that honor your worth. It's not about being cold or distant. It's about valuing yourself enough not to be an on-demand emotional ATM. The Stoics teach us that self-control is freedom. So practice saying no. When she calls just to unload her problems or demands your time, respond calmly but firmly. Say something like, "I'm happy to help, but I can't be available all the time." You don't owe constant availability, and you definitely don't owe it at the cost of your peace. Also, try shifting the dynamic. If she's only ever asking, start inviting her to share about her life without an agenda. If she resists or ignores these invitations, you've got your answer. A healthy relationship has give and take. It's not a one-way street paved only with your energy and generosity. Here's a simple exercise. For 1 week, limit your responses to when she reaches out for something urgent. Don't jump immediately to solve her problems or say yes to every demand. Give yourself space to feel how it affects your mood and energy. Chances are, you'll notice relief and maybe even surprise. This distance will help you see her true intentions more clearly. Remember, the Stoics also believed in focusing on what you can control. You can't change how she behaves, but you can control your response. You can decide to stop being her fallback plan, her emotional convenience. You can decide to walk away from being used and instead make space for relationships where you're valued consistently and deeply. It's okay to want better for yourself. It's okay to expect someone to reach out because they genuinely care, not just when it suits them. Life's too short to be a sidekick in someone else's story. You have your own journey and your energy is precious. Use it wisely. So take a deep breath. Reflect on what you deserve. Step into your power by setting boundaries and watching how your world changes. Because when you refuse to be used, you open the door to being truly appreciated. Number 2, she avoids introducing you to her close friends or family. One of the quiet but powerful signals that you might just be a placeholder in someone's life is when she avoids introducing you to her close friends or family. Now, this might seem subtle at first. Maybe you think, she's just private, or she's cautious. But listen closely. When someone truly values you, they want to weave you into the fabric of their world. They want you to be part of the people who matter most to them. When that doesn't happen, it's worth paying attention to. Imagine this. If she's hesitant or outright refuses to introduce you to those closest to her, it says something deeper about where you stand in her priorities. It's almost like she's keeping you at arm's length. Why? Because the people we allow into our inner circle are a reflection of how seriously we take a relationship. If she's not bridging that gap, she's signaling you're not part of the core, at least not yet, or maybe not at all. This isn't about controlling or rushing anything. It's about recognizing what respect and genuine interest look like. One of the great Stoic emperors reminds us, if someone does wrong, it is because they are acting according to what they think is good. When you see this, you can respond with patience and wisdom. In your case, that means you have to see what her actions are really telling you and respond accordingly. Not with anger or desperation, but with clear-eyed understanding. You deserve to be someone she proudly shares with the world. Being hidden away, kept in the shadows from her closest circle, means you're not valued the way you deserve. Don't settle for being an option or a secret. It's time to set a new standard for yourself, one where your presence is welcomed, celebrated, and included. Here, what you can do. Start observing the signs not as proof that you're unworthy, but as a signal to step back and reassess. Ask yourself honestly, does she talk about her friends and family? Does she share moments from those parts of her life with you? Does she show curiosity about your world and the people who matter to you? These are the subtle markers of true connection. Try this exercise. Next time you're together, gently bring up your family or close friends in conversation. Notice how she reacts. Does she ask questions? Does she show interest? Or does she shift away, change the subject, or keep things superficial? Your intuition is a powerful guide here. Stoics taught that our internal compass, our reason, is our best tool for navigating relationships. Listen to it. If you find that she consistently avoids blending your worlds, take a moment to reflect on what you're investing in. Are you chasing someone who values you as deeply as you value her? Because if you keep pushing to break through a barrier she's actively keeping up, you risk draining your energy on something that isn't built to last. Remember Epictetus' wisdom. Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do happen, and you will go on well. Accept the reality you're seeing and make decisions from strength, not weakness. This means if she's not willing to bring you into her trusted inner circle, you must consider whether that relationship is helping you grow or holding you back. It's not about playing games or keeping score. It's about honoring yourself enough to only invest in relationships that reflect mutual respect and genuine intention. Practice setting boundaries that protect your heart. If she dodges questions about her friends and family or avoids those introductions, gently tell her how important it is for you to be part of all aspects of her life, not just the fun or convenient parts. See how she responds. That response will tell you volumes. The real power here is in your calm clarity. Keep your confidence rooted in knowing your worth. You're not here to be anyone's secret or safety net. You're here to be fully seen, fully known, and fully appreciated. The Stoics believed in mastering oneself first. By doing so, you gain the strength to walk away from what doesn't serve you and attract what truly deserves your time. So start today. Reflect honestly on where you stand. Let go of illusions, lean into your reason, and take action that aligns with your highest value. You owe it to yourself. Because at the end of the day, being part of someone's close circle isn't a favor, it's a sign of love, trust, and respect. If she's not ready to offer that, you're the one who should be ready to walk towards something better. Number 3, she's inconsistent with her communication and affection. All right, let's dive into this. When she's inconsistent with her communication and affection, it's like you're riding a wave that never quite settles. One moment she's all in, texts flowing, warmth pouring through her words, attention laser focused on you. Then suddenly, she disappears into silence or barely gives you a nod when you try to connect. That back and forth might feel confusing, and honestly, it's draining. It's not just a minor annoyance. It's a clear sign that you're not the priority you deserve to be. Here's the thing. Consistency in how someone treats you isn't just a nice to have, it's essential. It builds trust, it creates safety, and it shows respect for your time and your feelings. If you're left wondering when she'll show up next, or if she even cares enough to reach out, that's your intuition waving a big red flag. You owe it to yourself to listen. The Stoics teach us something powerful here. Said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. This means you can't control how she behaves, but you can control how you respond. So start by refusing to tolerate the emotional. Take a step back and ask yourself, are you chasing after a person who values you, or are you just filling a void in her life? The truth can sting, but clarity frees you. Now let's talk about what you can do to break free from this exhausting cycle. First, set clear boundaries. If she's going to come and go like the wind, don't let her storm disrupt your peace. Tell yourself, I deserve steady, reliable connection. Then act like it. When she's hot and cold, don't bend over backward to catch her when she pulls away. Instead, focus on your own rhythm, your own passions, your own goals. This isn't about playing games. It's about valuing your time and your energy as much as you deserve. One practical exercise is to journal your interactions for a week. Write down how often she initiates contact, how responsive she is, and how consistent her affection feels. Seeing it on paper helps you recognize patterns you might ignore. It also sharpens your awareness, because awareness is the first step toward change. Next, practice emotional detachment, not in a cold or cynical way, but like the Stoics recommend. Observe your feelings without letting them control you. Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. So when she's distant or unreliable, don't let frustration or desperation take over. Instead, breathe, acknowledge the feelings, then refocus on what you can control, your actions, your mindset. This brings us to a habit you can start today. Cultivate your own stability. Build a life where your happiness doesn't hinge on her text or her mood swings. Pursue interests that light you up. Spend time with people who lift you, and prioritize self-care like it's non-negotiable. When you stand solid in yourself, inconsistent affection won't rattle you as much. You'll see it for what it is, a reflection of her, not your worth. Remember, attraction isn't about how much someone gives or takes in bursts. It's about the steady, genuine flow of care and connection. If you find yourself constantly guessing where you stand, don't ignore the warning signs. The person who truly values you won't keep you guessing. So here's your challenge. Commit to honoring your emotional well-being above all. Say no to the hot-cold cycle and yes to consistency, respect, and honesty. You're not settling, you're setting a new standard. The path won't always be easy, but with each step, you build resilience, the kind that Stoics call virtue. Take this moment to promise yourself something vital. You will no longer be the one waiting in the wings for affection that comes and goes. Instead, you'll be the one who knows your worth and demands the kind of connection that fuels your soul every single day. And that, my friend, is how you begin to attract the kind of love that lasts. Number 4, She cancels plans frequently without good reason. You know, one of the subtle yet glaring signs that someone might not be as invested in you as you think is when she cancels plans frequently without a solid reason. It's easy to brush it off at first. Life gets busy. Things come up, right? But when this becomes a pattern, it's a silent alarm ringing in the background. You've got to pay attention to that alarm. Because consistently canceled plans aren't just about scheduling conflicts. They reveal a lack of respect for your time and, more importantly, for you. You deserve to be someone's priority, not an option to be shuffled around. If she's canceling last minute or coming up with flimsy excuses, you need to ask yourself, are you really on her mind? Or is this just convenience on her terms? It's uncomfortable, I know. Nobody likes feeling like they're chasing someone who doesn't really want to be caught. But recognizing this early saves you from investing time and emotion where it's not appreciated. Said, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. This applies to you too. Don't waste your energy arguing with yourself about her intentions. Focus on being the man who knows his worth. Now here's the crucial part. When you notice this behavior, it's your cue to reset your standards. Start by respecting your own time. If she cancels, don't just bend over backward to reschedule immediately. Take a step back and let her make the effort to prove she values the connection. This isn't about playing games. It's about setting boundaries that protect your emotional well-being. Remember, desire thrives on respect and consistency, not uncertainty and excuses. You might feel tempted to rationalize or forgive this behavior repeatedly. But every time you do, you teach her what's acceptable. The Stoics remind us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. You control how much you tolerate and you choose how you respond. Use this power wisely. Instead of chasing, shift your focus inward. Cultivate your interests, your goals, your peace of mind. The more you build your own world, the less room there is for anyone to treat you like a fallback plan. Try this practical exercise. Next time she cancels without a valid reason, pause before reacting. Breathe deeply, remind yourself of your value, and don't immediately rearrange your schedule. Reflect on how it makes you feel. Are you frustrated, disrespected? Good. Acknowledge those feelings, they're your internal compass. Then send a calm message that expresses your expectations clearly. No accusations, just clarity. For example, I understand things come up, but consistent cancellations make it hard for me to feel valued. You're not demanding or blaming. You're setting a respectful boundary that honors your time. Here's the bigger picture. When you stop accepting flaky behavior, you stop attracting it. The universe responds to the energy you put out. When you stand firm and communicate your worth calmly and confidently, you attract people who want to be part of your life wholeheartedly. And isn't that the kind of relationship you want? One where mutual effort and respect aren't negotiable. Don't forget the Stoic wisdom here. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. If she cancels plans frequently, let that be the trigger for you to elevate your standards and reclaim your power. See this red flag not as a setback, but as a chance to practice self-respect and resilience. You owe it to yourself to walk away from anyone who doesn't value your presence. It's not just about avoiding pain, it's about making space for something better. So start today. Notice the signs, hold your boundaries, and build the life that makes you unshakable. You're not here to be used or to settle. You're here to be respected and to thrive. And it all begins with the way you treat yourself. Number 5, she shows little interest in your life or feelings. All right, let's dive into this. When she shows little interest in your life or feelings, it's more than just a tiny warning light. It's a glaring red flag waving right in front of you. You deserve someone who's curious about what makes you tick, who wants to know what you're thinking, feeling, dreaming, struggling with. If she barely asks how your day was, or if she shrugs off your emotions like they don't matter, that's not just careless. It's a sign she's not really invested in you. Think about it. Genuine connection thrives on mutual interest and care. If she's not tuning into your inner world, it means she's not tuned into you. You might catch yourself brushing it off, telling yourself, maybe she's just busy, or that's how she is. But here's the truth, your feelings and experiences are the core of who you are. If someone truly values you, they'll want to understand those depths. One of the greatest Stoics reminds us that the quality of our relationships reflects the quality of our life. When someone disregards your emotional landscape, they're not contributing to your growth or happiness. They're draining your energy and focus. You've got to start valuing your emotional world the way a Stoic values reason and virtue, with deliberate attention and respect. That means when you sense someone isn't showing real interest, you don't just tolerate it. You act. You set boundaries. You demand more than empty words or distracted nods. Your emotional well-being is your responsibility, and if someone consistently dismisses it, they're not the person to invest your time or heart in. Here's a practical exercise for you. Next time you're with her, share something meaningful. It can be a challenge you're facing or a passion you're excited about. Notice how she responds. Does she ask questions? Does she listen actively? Or is she distracted, uninterested, or quickly changes the subject? This simple test reveals a lot. If the response is the latter, that's a moment to pause and reflect. Do you want to be with someone who treats your inner world like it's background noise? Now let's turn the mirror on you. It's easy to get caught in the trap of giving more than you get, hopping to spark interest or affection. But as Seneca said, associate with those who will make a better man of you. That means surrounding yourself with people who inspire you to grow, who elevate your spirit, who genuinely care about your story. You can't control her actions, but you can control how much attention and energy you give to someone who doesn't reciprocate. Start practicing self-respect by setting small daily boundaries. For instance, if she dismisses your feelings, don't immediately rush to explain or justify yourself. Instead, calmly say, "It matters to me, and I'd like you to listen." Watch how often you let your voice be heard and how often it's ignored. Over time, this will train you to recognize when someone's truly present or just pretending. Also, remind yourself daily that your emotions are valid, even if she doesn't see their value. Journaling can help here. Write down your feelings without judgment. Reflect on what you need from your relationships and be honest about whether you're getting it. This is not about blaming her, but about clarifying your own standards. You deserve emotional presence, empathy, and respect. There's no compromise on that. You're on a path of personal growth, and part of that journey is learning to spot who lifts you up and who holds you back. Stoicism teaches us that external events don't disturb us, but our judgments about them do. So don't let her indifference become your sorrow or frustration. Recognize it for what it is, decide what you will accept, and take deliberate action. That could mean having a tough conversation, pulling back your time and energy, or even walking away. Remember, the ultimate power lies in your hands, to choose who deserves your presence and love. At the end of the day, showing interest in someone's life and feelings isn't just about being polite or caring, it's about honoring their existence and affirming their worth. You deserve to be seen, heard, and valued deeply. Don't settle for anything less. Your life and your heart are too precious for it. So stand firm, stay true to yourself, and keep raising your standards. The right person will see your world and want to explore it with you, not ignore it. Number 6, she flirts with others openly or behind your back. All right, let's dive into this point in a way that really connects with you and helps you see what's going on beneath the surface. When she flirts with others, whether it's right in front of you or behind your back, it's more than just casual behavior. It's a signal, a red flag flashing brightly, telling you that you might not be as valued as you think. Flirting is about attention, about making someone feel special, and when she's spreading that attention around carelessly, it's like she's saying, without words, that you're not the priority. You might catch yourself brushing it off, telling yourself, maybe she's just friendly, or it's harmless, but deep down you feel that sting, the subtle but sharp reminder that your feelings don't seem to be her focus. The Stoics remind us through Epictetus that it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This is your moment to recognize the truth, not run from it or justify it. Because once you see the situation clearly, you reclaim your power. You deserve to be with someone who makes you feel like the center of their world, not just an option they show off when it's convenient. When she flirts openly, especially in your presence, it's a test. It's as if she's watching to see how much you'll tolerate. And here's the kicker: you have the choice to say, no more. You can decide to hold your ground and refuse to accept being one of many, a distraction rather than a priority. Your response to this behavior shapes the respect she has for you. If you allow it without setting boundaries, you're telling her it's okay. If you calmly and confidently call it out or walk away, you send a clear message. Your self-worth is non-negotiable. There's a certain freedom in accepting this truth. Said, reject your sense of injury and the injury itself disappears. This doesn't mean you ignore the pain or pretend it's not real. Instead, you stop giving power to the hurt by owning your reaction to it. When she flirts behind your back, it's even more telling. It means she's hiding a side of herself, and you have to ask yourself, why is that? Why is there a need to seek validation or excitement elsewhere without you knowing? This is a call for you to stop settling for shadows and half-truths. You need clarity, honesty, and respect. No one who truly cares about you will find pleasure in sneaking around or stirring jealousy. You might feel tempted to chase her approval to prove your worth by staying or trying harder. But here's the Stoic wisdom you must keep close. If someone does wrong, it's because of their own weakness, not yours. You can't fix what she refuses to see or change. What you can do is strengthen your own mindset and set habits that protect your peace. Practice this. Whenever you notice her flirting, pause, take a deep breath. Reflect on how it makes you feel and why. Write it down. Then remind yourself of your value. You don't need anyone's permission to respect yourself. If her actions clash with your worth, let them go. This exercise builds your resilience and sharpens your intuition. Every time you accept less than you deserve, you teach yourself to tolerate less. Break the cycle now. Adopt a new habit. Prioritize your emotional health above all. Start small. Maybe it's limiting the time you spend with her or having an honest conversation about how her behavior impacts you. Stand firm in your truth without anger or desperation. Confidence is calm, steady, and unwavering. When you do this, you're not just protecting yourself from being used. You're growing into the man who attracts genuine respect and loyalty. Flirting might seem harmless or even fun to some, but when it crosses into your relationship, it's a sign. It's your signal to wake up and see the reality. Don't ignore it. Don't rationalize it. Take it as a challenge to build stronger boundaries, clearer communication, and most importantly, deeper self-respect. You owe it to yourself to stop settling for crumbs when you deserve the whole feast. Remember, the Stoics teach us to live according to nature, and part of that nature is honoring your own dignity. Flirting with others while you're in the picture is a violation of that dignity. The power to change this situation lies in your hands. Choose to act, choose to rise, and above all, choose yourself. Number 7. She expects financial or material support without reciprocation. You know, one of the clearest signs that someone isn't really valuing you as a partner, but more like a resource, is when she expects you to constantly support her financially or materially without ever giving back. It's a heavy load to carry, and if you don't catch this early, it can slowly drain your energy, your wallet, and your self-respect. The moment you realize this pattern is happening, you have to pause and reflect, because your time, effort, and resources are precious, and they deserve to be honored, not exploited. Here's the truth. Relationships aren't charity. They aren't one-sided exchanges where you're expected to give endlessly while she takes without thought or gratitude. If she's only interested in what you can provide, whether it's paying for dinners, gifts, or even just footing bills, and never makes an effort to meet you halfway, that's a huge red flag. It's a sign she's using you, not loving you, and that kind of dynamic will never build anything strong or meaningful. The great Stoic emperor reminds us that waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. This isn't about being a doormat or just giving endlessly. It's about recognizing your own value and setting standards, not for her, but for yourself. You must decide how you want to be treated and what you're willing to accept. Because when you let go of the need to please or constantly prove yourself through material generosity, you reclaim your power. Look, you might be thinking, but isn't giving part of love? Absolutely. Giving in a relationship is essential, but genuine giving flows naturally both ways. It's not a transaction or a way to buy affection or loyalty. If your support is met with indifference or expectation rather than appreciation, that's not love, it's taking advantage. So what do you do when you spot this happening? First, you have to develop a clear inner boundary. Boundaries are like the invisible walls that protect your energy and self-worth. They're not walls of separation, but rather lines that say, I respect myself, and I expect the same respect from others. Practice this by asking yourself every time you're about to give. Am I giving because I want to, or because I feel pressured or obligated? Be honest with yourself. If it's the latter, it's time to pause and reassess. Next, start small by saying no when you feel that urge to overextend. Maybe it's declining an expensive outing you can't afford or not rushing to buy a gift just to keep peace. This isn't about being selfish. It's about honoring your limits. Practice this regularly. It builds your confidence and rewires your mindset from I must always provide to I choose to provide, but only within my means and comfort. Remember Seneca's wisdom. He is a great man who uses earthenware as if it were silver, but he is equally great who uses silver as if it were earthenware. What he means is, value what you have, but don't get attached to appearances or false worth. Your value isn't measured by how much money or gifts you pour into someone. It's measured by your character, your integrity, and how well you treat yourself. Finally, if you find that your efforts are consistently met with coldness or expectation, it's time for a serious conversation or even a decision to walk away. You deserve a partner who celebrates your generosity, who gives back emotionally, mentally, and yes, sometimes materially too. You deserve mutual respect and balance. You've got the power to change your story here. Start by tuning into yourself more deeply. Notice how it feels when you give and what your gut tells you when it's unbalanced. Take daily moments of reflection, maybe 5 minutes each morning, to remind yourself of your boundaries and your worth. Affirm, I am worthy of love that is balanced. I give freely, but I do not allow myself to be used. The path to freedom from being used is paved with clear boundaries, self-awareness, and courage. It might be uncomfortable at first, but every time you stand firm, you grow stronger. And in the words of Epictetus, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. React by protecting your energy. React by valuing yourself. React by choosing relationships that elevate you rather than drain you. You don't have to settle. You don't have to enable a one-sided pattern. Start today, right now, by deciding that your generosity is a gift, not a burden. And watch how your relationships transform when you begin to honor yourself first. Number 8, she doesn't make time for you unless it's convenient for her. You need to listen closely when someone only shows up for you when it suits them. This isn't just about busy schedules or occasional distractions. It's a deeper sign that your time and presence aren't really valued. When she doesn't make time for you unless it's convenient for her, it's a clear red flag waving right in your face. You deserve better than to be someone she squeezes in like an afterthought. Think about what it means when you're always the one adjusting, waiting, bending your day around her availability. There's something deeply unbalanced in that dynamic. It silently tells you that her priorities don't include you, at least not in any meaningful way. You're left wondering when you'll actually get a moment of her attention, only to find it's always on her terms. The phrase, "if it's convenient for her," sounds casual but carries a heavy weight. You should never feel like a convenience. You should be a priority. Remember the wisdom of who said, "Choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed." That applies here. You have the power to decide how you respond to this. Do you keep tolerating it, hoping she'll change? Or do you wake up and take control of your own value? Because if you don't, no one else will. You must set the standard for how people treat you. It's not about demanding or controlling others. It's about respecting yourself enough to refuse anything less than genuine effort. So what can you do right now? Start by observing your own patterns. Notice if you're constantly the one initiating contact, suggesting plans, or shifting your schedule. Are you the only one who's making sacrifices? If that's the case, it's time to pause and reflect on whether this relationship fuels your growth or drains your energy. You deserve a connection where both people give time and attention willingly, not reluctantly. Here's a simple but powerful exercise for you. For one whole week, track the efforts around making time for each other. Keep it real and honest. Write down who reached out first, how often plans were made or canceled, and whether those moments felt one-sided. When the week is over, look at your notes. What do you see? This isn't about accusing or judging anyone. It's about gaining clarity on where you stand. Awareness is your first step toward change. Now it's not just about measuring her availability, it's about reclaiming your own. You must stop waiting on someone who treats your time like a convenience store. Instead, fill your hours with things that bring you fulfillment and joy. Pursue your passion, spend time with people who value you, and strengthen your own identity. The Stoics teach us to focus on what's within our control. Her choices and priorities, those are hers. Your time, your energy, your self-respect, those are yours to command. Another practical habit to build. Start saying no to plans or interactions that feel like favors or fitting you in. When you do, watch how your mindset shifts. You'll stop feeling like you have to chase approval or validation. Instead, you'll attract people who want to be with you without hesitation. Because here's the truth, genuine connection doesn't require convincing or begging. It flows naturally when both people see each other as valuable, not as an option to be weighed against convenience. Finally, keep reminding yourself of Epictetus' teaching. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Wanting someone who truly values your time isn't about greed, it's about recognizing your worth. You don't need to settle for crumbs of attention. Demand respect. Demand presence. If she can't or won't make time for you except when it's easy for her, that's on her. But it's on you to decide whether you'll keep giving your time away or whether you'll start protecting it fiercely. You have the power right now to change the story. Don't wait for her to suddenly value you. Start valuing yourself. Start honoring your own time as the precious resource it is. Build habits that strengthen your self-respect and push away anything that feels like an afterthought. That's how you create space for someone who genuinely wants to be there, not just when it suits them, but always. Number 9, she avoids serious or long-term conversations about the relationship. When she sidesteps those serious talks about where your relationship is heading, pay close attention. This is a powerful signal you shouldn't ignore. It's easy to dismiss it, chalking it up to timing or nerves, but deep down, you know that avoiding the real conversations is more than just discomfort. It's a way of keeping things casual, safe, and above all, non-committal. And if you want to build something meaningful, something real, you can't afford to accept that silence or deflection. You deserve clarity. You deserve honesty. A relationship isn't a game where you're left guessing what's next, forever stuck in the limbo of maybe someday. If she's unwilling to explore the future, to discuss the hard questions, it's not because she's scared, it's because she's not invested in the long haul. She may be enjoying the perks of companionship, the attention, the benefits of having you around, but she isn't ready to take that leap with you. And here's the truth, that's not your burden to carry. Your job is to know your worth and demand the respect that comes with it. Once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." This applies perfectly here. If you find yourself chasing conversations that never materialize, if you're bending over backward to create space for the talk, only to be met with silence or deflection, you are chasing a mirage. You are investing energy in something that may never be real. It's time to stop that. What can you do right now? Start by changing your mindset. Don't settle for vague promises or "we'll see" answers. Begin to ask yourself, what do I want? What are my non-negotiables? When you know your bottom line, it becomes easier to spot when someone isn't meeting you there. Make a commitment to yourself to insist on conversations that matter. This means being direct. It means asking the questions that might feel uncomfortable but are necessary. Don't wait for her to bring it up. You're the one steering this ship, and if she's not ready to navigate with you, it's your cue too. Here's a simple exercise to build that muscle of clarity. Next time you feel the urge to bring up the future, prepare yourself mentally. Take a few deep breaths, remind yourself that your feelings are valid and that honesty is your right. Then calmly say something like, "I want to know where we stand because it matters to me. I'm looking for something real and I need to know if we're on the same page." Watch closely how she responds. If she evades, changes the subject, or brushes it off, take note. This is your reality check. Don't fall into the trap of hoping she'll come around someday. Stoicism teaches us to accept what is outside our control and focus on what we can change. Our thoughts, our actions, our responses. You can't force someone to open up or commit, but you can control your boundaries and decide where to draw the line. It's okay to feel disappointed. It's okay to feel hurt. But don't let that cloud your judgment or weaken your standards. You are worthy of a partner who is eager to build a future with you, who doesn't shy away from the important conversations but welcomes them as opportunities to grow closer. This isn't just about romance, it's about respect and alignment. Remember Epictetus, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. What's in your power is your decision to stop investing time and emotion in someone who won't meet you halfway. The rest, her willingness or unwillingness, is simply outside your control. Start today by affirming your own worth. Speak your truth, seek clarity, and watch how your life begins to change when you refuse to settle for anything less than genuine connection and commitment. That's how you stop being used and start being truly valued. You owe that to yourself. Don't wait. Take that first step, because your future deserves that honesty both from her and from you. Before you go, remember, your time and energy are your most valuable assets. Don't let anyone drain them without giving you the respect and care you deserve. If you spotted even one of these red flags, it's time to take a step back and rethink the relationship. Awareness is the first step to empowerment. Now it's up to you to protect your heart and set healthy boundaries. If you found this video eye-opening, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with anyone who might need it, and subscribe for more deep dives into female psychology and relationship truths. Comment below which red flag surprised you the most or share your story. I'd love to hear from you. Stay wise, stay strong, and I'll see you in the next video. He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior. Confucius. What if I told you that understanding a few key psychological patterns in women could unlock a whole new level of influence and respect in your relationships? Without manipulation, without games, just by mastering the Stoic mindset. Imagine approaching every interaction with calm confidence, seeing through emotional noise, and responding in ways that naturally draw people toward you. This isn't about control for control's sake. It's about wielding power wisely, the kind of power that comes from self-mastery and emotional clarity. In today's video, we'll dive deep into 10 female psychological weaknesses that men can leverage, not to exploit, but to connect authentically and confidently, using timeless Stoic principles. Whether you're struggling to communicate, build attraction, or simply want to become unstoppable in any social dynamic, this video is your blueprint. So, stay tuned till the very end because the last points will completely transform how you see power and relationships forever. Ready to upgrade your mindset and become the man women secretly admire? Let's get started. Number 1, need for validation. Let's talk about something that quietly influences how women, and honestly, people in general, navigate their world: the need for validation. This isn't just some random observation, it's a deep psychological truth. You've probably noticed it yourself, how people seek approval, reassurance, and recognition to feel good about themselves. Now, before you jump to conclusions, this isn't about exploiting or manipulating in a careless way. It's about understanding a real human dynamic and using that knowledge wisely. The Stoics believed in understanding human nature to master life, and this is no different. When you grasp how validation works, you can influence situations with calm power, all while staying grounded in your own strength. Here's the core of it: everyone craves a sense of worth, but women, often shaped by social conditioning and emotional wiring, sometimes depend more on external signals to feel valued. It's not a flaw or weakness in a bad sense, more like a human vulnerability. They want to know they matter. They want their efforts, beauty, intelligence, or presence to be seen and acknowledged. That's where the need for validation kicks in. It's a craving for connection and affirmation, and it creates a natural opening for you. Now think about this from a Stoic perspective. Urged us to be like the cliff against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it. What does that mean for you? It means, while others may seek validation constantly, you must become the steady rock that doesn't need external approval. You don't chase validation. Instead, you hold your own value quietly but firmly. And here's the twist: when you don't seek validation, you become more attractive. People, especially women, are drawn to that confidence. Because deep down, they want someone who sees their worth without needing constant reassurance themselves. So how do you use this to your advantage and, more importantly, build your own unshakable mindset? Start by training yourself to depend less on what others think. That's the foundation. When you catch yourself looking for approval, whether it's a like, a compliment, or someone's praise, stop. Ask yourself, do I truly need this to feel good about myself right now? The answer is no. You already have everything you need inside. This mental shift is powerful because it frees you from the emotional ups and downs that come with seeking external validation. Here's a simple exercise to practice this daily. Each morning, stand in front of a mirror and say, "I am enough. I don't need to prove myself to anyone." Say it like you mean it. Feel it. This small act rewires your brain and strengthens your internal validation system. Over time, this builds resilience against the urge to seek constant approval. Next, when dealing with women, observe how they seek validation through words, actions, or subtle cues. Use this knowledge to lead conversations and interactions with calm authority. Compliment her genuinely but sparingly. Let your silence speak sometimes. When you withhold constant validation, you create intrigue. You make her invest emotionally because she wants to earn your approval. It's a game of balance. You're not a puppet master, but someone who understands the rhythm of human connection. Epictetus taught us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Apply this here. Don't react impulsively to validation cravings, either from yourself or others. Stay steady. When she looks for validation, respond with calmness, not desperation. This control is magnetic. Women are wired to notice emotional stability and strength. When you embody that, you naturally gain influence. Lastly, always remember that power comes from within. The real key to using this weakness isn't manipulation, it's mastering yourself. When your confidence is solid and your validation comes from inside, you don't just influence women, you inspire respect and genuine attraction. This is the true essence of the Stoic mindset. So your mission going forward is to cut the chains of external approval. Train yourself to find strength in your own values and self-worth. Observe, understand, but don't react emotionally to others' validation needs. Use this awareness to lead interactions with grace and quiet power. When you do this, you won't just gain influence, you'll become unstoppable. Number 2, emotional decision-making. You need to understand something crucial if you want to gain true power in your interactions in life. Emotions often cloud judgment, especially when decisions are involved. Emotional decision-making isn't just a random phrase. It's a fundamental human tendency that can work to your advantage if you know how to navigate it. Women, like all people, can fall into this trap, allowing their feelings to steer their choices more than logic or reason does. And when you master the art of staying calm, clear-headed, and strategic, you hold a power that few even realize exists. Let me be clear, emotional decision-making isn't about weakness or stupidity. It's about how feelings, joy, fear, insecurity, or hope can hijack rational thought. You've probably experienced it yourself. Maybe you made a snap decision driven by anger or excitement, only to regret it later. The difference is that when you learn to recognize and manage this tendency, you don't just avoid mistakes, you gain an edge. You become the calm eye in the storm, the man who sees clearly while others get swept away by the flood of emotions. Put it perfectly when he said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this, you have the power to revoke at any moment. You have the power to control your response. You need to learn how to make that power work for you." Here, what you do. When you sense a decision is coming, whether it's a conversation, a negotiation, or even something seemingly small, pause. That pause is your secret weapon. Take a breath, slow your heart rate, and push yourself to step back mentally. Instead of rushing into action or reacting impulsively, give yourself space to assess what's really going on. What emotions are trying to influence you? Why? When you can identify the emotional undercurrents, you strip them of their unconscious power over you. Practice this mental exercise regularly. Before making any choice, especially in emotionally charged situations, ask yourself, am I reacting to facts or am I being driven by feelings? Write it down if you have to. This simple act forces your brain to shift from automatic pilot to conscious control. The Stoics believed this was the foundation of wisdom, the discipline of assent, where you don't blindly accept every impulse but judge carefully what deserves your agreement. This habit changes the game. It transforms you from a reactive person to a strategic thinker. Now consider the implications of emotional decision-making on those around you. When women, or anyone, act from heightened emotions, they're often less guarded, more transparent, and sometimes more vulnerable. This isn't about manipulation in a negative sense. It's about recognizing human nature and responding with wisdom. You're not trying to exploit, but to outthink. When you stay calm, you see the situation clearly, while others get lost in the haze of feelings. That clarity lets you navigate conversations, conflicts, and connections with more confidence and control. Here's a challenge for you. The next time you notice someone, especially a woman, making a choice quickly or emotionally, don't rush to react or argue. Instead, observe quietly. Notice the emotional signals and use your own calm mindset to guide the interaction. Your steady presence becomes your silent power. This isn't about controlling others, but mastering yourself so thoroughly that your influence naturally grows. And don't forget, strengthening your emotional discipline is a daily workout. Start each day with a moment of reflection. Picture yourself facing emotional triggers and choosing to respond with reason. Visualize the calm, confident version of yourself making decisions with clarity. This mental rehearsal primes your brain to act this way when the moment arrives. Remember Epictetus's wisdom. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Your reactions shape your reality. If you train yourself to respond thoughtfully, not emotionally, you don't just gain power, you gain freedom. Freedom from impulsive mistakes, freedom from regret, freedom from losing control. So commit to this path. When emotions rise, don't dive in head first. Step back, breathe, analyze. Let your mind lead, not your heart's wild impulses. This is the power of Stoicism in action. The power to remain unshaken, to decide wisely, and to rise above the chaos. This is how you win. This is how you become unstoppable. Number 3, overthinking. Overthinking. It's like this invisible trap that can tie anyone up, but it tends to grip women in a way that's worth understanding if you want to navigate relationships and wield real influence. Now, before you get the wrong idea, this isn't about exploiting people or playing dirty games. It's about recognizing a pattern that exists and learning how to use your awareness, your Stoic mindset, to hold the upper hand, to be calm where others spiral, steady where others doubt. Because when you spot overthinking, you see hesitation, self-doubt, confusion, and that's your chance to lead with clarity and calm. You've probably noticed how overthinking feels like a storm in the mind, endless questions, endless what-ifs, a mental loop that spins and spins until it's hard to tell what's real and what's fear. This constant replay in the mind is exhausting, draining energy and decisiveness. The Stoics nailed this centuries ago when Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." That's the truth here. The mind, when left unchecked, creates enemies out of thin air, disasters that aren't real, and worst of all, it saps confidence. Here, where you come in. When she's caught in that web of overthinking, she's not grounded in the moment. She's looking for certainty, for reassurance, for a sign. And if you can hold your own calm, your own certainty, you become that anchor. That's power. When you don't feed into the overthinking, when you don't get dragged into the whirlwind of doubt or emotional chaos, you're essentially saying, "I'm stable, I'm sure. You can trust this." This kind of presence, it's magnetic. You have to understand that overthinking isn't just a quirk, it's a response to uncertainty. It's the mind's desperate way of trying to control the uncontrollable. The Stoic approach: accept what you cannot control and focus fiercely on what you can. You control your reactions, your emotions, your mindset. So your job is to embody calmness and certainty. When questions come, you answer clearly, confidently, without hesitation. When doubts arise, you don't add fuel to the fire, you bring steady light. If you want to rise above and lead, you need to practice this yourself. When your mind starts spiraling, when you catch yourself caught in the endless loop of what if, do this, pause, breathe, ask yourself, is this real? Is this within my control? Focus only on what you can change. This is your daily training ground. This habit rewires your brain to stay clear-headed, decisive, and calm. And when you master this for yourself, it becomes second nature to offer the same steadiness to others. Here's a simple exercise to get you started. Every time you sense overthinking creeping in, whether it's your own or someone else's, ground yourself in the present. Feel your feet on the ground. Take 3 slow, deep breaths. Remind yourself that imagining problems that don't exist wastes your energy and steals your power. Return your focus to what's real, tangible, actionable. This rewires your mind to break free from the trap of endless mental noise. And here's a mindset shift that's crucial. Overthinking thrives on fear of the unknown, but fear is just a story your mind tells you. The Stoics believe the only thing truly harmful is not external events but your judgment about those events. You control your judgments, so don't let your mind run wild with what-ifs. Reframe those thoughts. Turn "what if this goes wrong" into "if it goes wrong, I will handle it." Simple, direct, powerful. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have all the answers, but you do need to be steady. You need to own your calm, your clarity, and be the presence that doesn't panic. That's influence. That's power. So here's your call to action. Start today by catching yourself in moments of overthinking. Practice stepping out of the mental maze and back into the moment. Strengthen your mind by focusing on what you can control. Become the calm in the storm. That's how you wield power, not by dominating, but by mastering yourself first. And once you master that, you hold the keys to influence like no one else. This is your path to becoming unstoppable. Step into it, own it, live it. Number 4, fear of confrontation. You need to understand something crucial about the fear of confrontation. It's more common than you think, and it can be a powerful edge if you know how to wield it wisely. Fear of confrontation doesn't mean weakness. It means there's a gap where many people, especially women in this context, prefer to avoid direct conflict because it stirs discomfort, uncertainty, or emotional turmoil. Here's the truth. When you can face confrontation head-on, calmly and confidently, you instantly gain power. Because most shy away from that discomfort, you stepping into it is what sets you apart. The Stoics nailed it centuries ago. Seneca said, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." Facing confrontation, that's living courageously. You've got to get comfortable with the idea that confrontation isn't some monstrous beast you have to avoid. It's a tool. When you don't shy away, you send a clear message, not with words but with presence, that you're someone who's unshaken, who can handle tension without cracking. That calm, steady energy, it's magnetic, it's commanding. People feel it and respect it. Women, in particular, are wired to notice this because most would rather dodge those tense moments than embrace them. You stepping forward with steady eyes and clear voice. That's not just power, that's leadership. This doesn't mean you have to be aggressive or intimidating. That's a common trap many fall into. Real power is quiet, it's controlled. It's the ability to address the issue without drama, without escalation. That's where the Stoic mindset helps you. Reminded us that the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice. In confrontation, it means you don't let anger or fear dictate your reaction. Instead, you stay calm, thoughtful, and focused on the solution, not the conflict itself. When you do this, you hold the high ground, and people, including women, pick up on this energy instantly. You need to practice this every day. Start small. When a disagreement pops up, don't run or clam up. Take a breath. Anchor yourself in the present moment. Ask yourself, what do I really want here? What's the outcome I'm aiming for? Then speak your truth clearly and respectfully. This practice builds what the Stoics call inner citadel, an unbreakable fortress within your mind that shields you from emotional storms. The more you do this, the more natural it becomes to face confrontation without fear. You grow a kind of calm armor that's invisible but powerful. Here's a practical exercise for you. The next time you feel tension rising in any interaction, pause. Literally pause. Count to 3 slowly in your mind before saying anything. This tiny gap lets you breathe, collect your thoughts, and prevent your emotions from hijacking the moment. Use that pause to remind yourself of Epictetus's wisdom. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Your reaction shapes everything. Choose calm over chaos. Also, reframe how you see confrontation. Instead of a battle, see it as a conversation, a chance to clear the air and grow. When you shift your mindset this way, the fear starts to fade. You begin to see confrontation not as an enemy, but as an opportunity to show strength and honesty. And that's attractive. Women notice when you're someone who can hold space for truth without flinching. The power here is about owning your voice, owning your boundaries, and refusing to be pushed around by fear or avoidance. You don't have to shout or dominate. You just have to stand firm in your calm confidence. When you do, the fear of confrontation loses its grip, not just on you, but on everyone around you. You become the person others turn to when things get tough. So here's your challenge. Today, in any situation that hints at conflict, don't back away. Step in with a calm mind and clear intent. Practice that pause. Speak your truth kindly but firmly. Own the moment. The more you do this, the more you build unstoppable power rooted in emotional strength and stoic wisdom. Fear of confrontation. You can turn it from a weakness into your greatest advantage. Number 5, desire for security. Let's talk about something fundamental, something that quietly pulses beneath the surface for almost everyone, but especially in relationships: the desire for security. This isn't just about money or a fancy house. It's deeper. It's about feeling safe, knowing that the world won't just toss you around like a leaf in the wind. Women, like all humans, crave that sense of stability. It's baked into their psychology, a craving for a foundation that won't crumble when life gets tough. Now, understanding this isn't about manipulation in the cheap sense. It's about recognizing what drives behavior, so you can rise above and become the kind of man who naturally embodies that strength. Here's the thing: security is less about the external and more about the internal. Said, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this, you have the power to revoke at any moment. That means the real power to provide security isn't about what you have, but about how unshakable you are in the face of life's storms. Women sense this instinctively. They don't just want a wallet or a fancy car. They want a man who can stand firm, no matter what. When you develop that kind of emotional and mental stability, you become a pillar of security. So how do you do that? First, stop chasing the illusion of control over everything outside of you. You can't predict the future and you can't control every variable, but you can control how you respond. This is where the Stoic mindset shines. The more you internalize the idea that your peace depends on your own mind, the more you radiate confidence and calm. That's the kind of security women are drawn to. It's magnetic because it's real. Take a moment each day, yes, just a few minutes, to remind yourself that external chaos doesn't have to shake your inner world. When you get rattled, pause, ask yourself, is this within my control? If not, let it go. Practice this relentlessly. Over time, it rewires your brain to focus only on what you can manage, and that sharp focus breeds strength. Imagine what it would feel like to be that steady in every situation. Here's a simple exercise for you. When you're faced with uncertainty or fear, write down 3 things you can control in that moment. Then, focus solely on those. This exercise isn't just mental, it's transformational. It trains your mind to anchor on what's real and actionable, not on worries that spiral out of your reach. And here, another truth: security isn't about being rigid or closed off. It's about being adaptable and resilient. Epictetus said, "The greater the difficulty, the more glory in surmounting it." You want to be the man who doesn't break under pressure but bends and flexes, always returning stronger. That adaptability is security. It's the silent promise that no matter what life throws, you'll be there, steady, reliable, unmovable. Now let's bring it back to action. If you want to truly embody this trait, start by mastering your daily routines. Build habits that reinforce stability. Wake up at the same time, take care of your body, manage your emotions with intention. These small acts might seem trivial, but they compound into an unshakable foundation. Women feel this energy. They pick up on the subtle signals of discipline and consistency, and that's what plants the seed of trust and desire. Remember, true security comes from strength within, not from external possessions or status. If you lean into this mindset, you become unstoppable. You become the man who isn't just offering comfort, but offering certainty in an uncertain world. That's power. That's attraction. That's the kind of presence that makes women want to build with you, rely on you, and respect you on a level beyond surface. So here's your challenge. Starting today, stop looking outward for security. Instead, train your mind and emotions to be your fortress. When doubt creeps in, remember wisdom and reclaim your power over your perception. When fear tries to shake you, ground yourself in what you can control. Build routines that mirror your commitment to inner strength. This isn't a quick fix, but a lifestyle, a path that will shape you into a man who commands respect and attracts without even trying. You have the power to be that man. It starts with owning your mind, your emotions, your reactions. Security isn't just something you give, it's something you become. Step into that role now. It's time. Number 6, people-pleasing tendencies. People-pleasing. It sounds harmless, almost noble, right? Wanting to make others happy, avoid conflict, keep the peace. But here's the truth you need to know. People-pleasing is a subtle trap, and if you understand it well, it's a powerful lever in your hands. Why? Because people who constantly seek approval are often vulnerable. They lose sight of their own boundaries, their own needs, and that creates an opening. When someone's drive to please outweighs their sense of self, it's easier to influence, steer, and yes, gain power over them. Now, this isn't about manipulation for cheap wins. It's about recognizing the psychology behind it so you can rise above and use that knowledge wisely. You have to grasp this. People-pleasing isn't just about kindness or generosity. It's a survival mechanism. People want to belong, to be liked, to avoid rejection. And that desire can make them bend, hesitate, or give in. This is where your awareness becomes your edge. If you know someone's default mode is to avoid conflict or seek approval at any cost, you hold a subtle key. But don't mistake this for weakness to exploit recklessly. Instead, think of it as an invitation to lead with confidence, because leadership, real leadership, commands respect without demanding it. As Epictetus taught, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. You can influence, yes, but always with honor and clarity. Here's the deal for you. When you understand that people-pleasers often mask their own desires just to fit in, you can learn to communicate and act in ways that gently challenge that dynamic. You push boundaries not aggressively, but deliberately. You speak your truth clearly and calmly. And here's the beauty. Because they want to please, they'll lean into your strength, often without even realizing it. That's the power of Stoic calmness combined with strategic insight. Your steady presence encourages them to relax their constant guard and trust your direction. But it only works if you stay grounded yourself. To tap into this, start by sharpening your observation skills. Notice when someone bends over backward to agree, when their voice softens or they avoid eye contact. These are signals. Your job isn't to pounce, but to quietly recognize. Then when you communicate, be assertive without arrogance. State your wants, your boundaries, your needs firmly, but without hostility. The Stoics remind us that true power comes from self-mastery and clarity. Said, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Your words carry weight when they are authentic and principled. People-pleasers respond to that because it offers them a safe space where they don't have to guess or overthink. You become the calm center they want to align with. Now here's an exercise for you to build this skill. The next time you're in a conversation, practice saying no or expressing a preference, even on small things. Watch how others react. Notice your own feelings, maybe a flicker of guilt, hesitation, or fear. That's normal. The goal is to get comfortable with asserting yourself. The more you do it, the more natural it becomes, and the more you radiate that unshakable confidence people are drawn to. Also, reflect daily on where you might be people-pleasing yourself, saying yes when you want to say no, agreeing when you don't really mean it. The Stoic approach is brutally honest here. Ask yourself, am I acting out of my own true nature or am I trying to win approval? When you catch yourself slipping, course correct immediately. Remember, you don't need to please everyone. Your power comes from being real, clear, and steady. By mastering this balance, you shift the dynamic completely. People pleasers move from being vulnerable to being anchored. And you move from being reactive to being the one who guides, influences, and shapes the flow. It's not about control through manipulation. It's about wielding your Stoic mindset to inspire trust and respect naturally. So here's the call to action. Next time you notice people-pleasing behavior, whether in yourself or others, don't just passively observe. Use it as a chance to step up your game. Be clear, be calm, be deliberate. Practice setting boundaries, stating your truth, and standing firm. That's how you build power that lasts, power rooted in self-mastery, insight, and respect. You have this within you. All it takes is choosing to act. As Seneca said, it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. Don't crave approval, crave mastery, crave clarity, and watch how the world around you shifts. Number 7, sensitivity to rejection. Rejection. It's a word that carries weight, a sting that almost everyone feels. But here's the thing, women tend to experience it differently. And understanding this can shift your approach and give you a subtle edge. Sensitivity to rejection isn't just about feeling hurt. It's about how deeply that hurt can influence her behavior and decisions. When you grasp this, you're not just reacting to what she says or does, but you're tuning into the undercurrent of her emotions, which gives you a powerful space to navigate the dynamic with more control. But before you start thinking this is some kind of weakness to exploit without care, remember, the Stoics teach us to act with wisdom and self-control, not manipulation for selfish gain. Said, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. That means recognizing these psychological tendencies is a tool, not a weapon. Use it responsibly, like the calm, steady force you are building yourself to be. Now here's what you need to understand. Rejection hits deep because it threatens a basic human need to belong, to be accepted. When a woman senses rejection, her mind races, emotions flood, and her confidence can wobble, sometimes subtly, sometimes in ways that shift her entire vibe. If you can maintain your calm and show steady interest without overreacting, you create a magnetic pull that's hard to resist. Why? Because she senses safety, not threat. She feels valued, even in moments when she fears being pushed away. And that feeling, it's gold. You have to get comfortable with rejection yourself first. If you're shaky, anxious, or desperate to avoid it, you give her the upper hand without even trying. Instead, flip the script. See rejection as a natural part of life, not a personal failure. Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When you don't fear rejection, you're free. You don't chase or cling, you hold your ground with quiet confidence. And women pick up on that. It's attractive because it signals strength and self-possession. Start practicing this now. When you reach out or express interest and don't get the reaction you hoped for, pause. Don't jump to fix or plead. Instead, breathe. Reflect. Tell yourself rejection isn't a verdict on your worth. It's just a moment, a piece of information to guide your next move. This mental habit rewires your brain and reshapes your emotional landscape. Over time, rejection loses its power to shake you. Another powerful exercise is to build emotional distance from outcomes. This doesn't mean you become cold or indifferent. It means you stay connected but don't get entangled. Think of it like watching clouds pass rather than getting lost in every storm. When you do this, you create space for her emotions to unfold naturally without pressure. You become a steady presence, the calm in the emotional weather, which paradoxically makes her want to come closer rather than retreat. Also, remember that your own resilience is a beacon. When you're unflappable, it gives her permission to drop some of her own guards. Sensitivity to rejection means she might test boundaries, pull back, or hesitate. But when you remain consistent and composed, you show her that rejection doesn't have to mean loss or drama. It's just a signal to pause and recalibrate. You're teaching her, without words, how to navigate the emotional landscape with maturity. Here's a simple but effective practice. When you feel a twinge of rejection or uncertainty in her response, don't rush to fill the silence or chase reassurance. Instead, engage in a quick inner check-in. Ask yourself, am I reacting from neediness or from calm confidence? If it's the former, take a breath, reset your mindset, and remember that your value isn't tied to one moment or one person's approval. This kind of self-awareness is a game changer because it shifts your energy from reactive to proactive. Rejection will happen. That's inevitable, but it doesn't have to be your undoing or hers. When you master your own response, you gain a subtle form of power that isn't about control or domination, but about presence and influence. It's a power that makes you unstoppable in relationships and beyond. So your mission moving forward, embrace rejection as part of your path, not an enemy. Let it teach you patience, calmness, and self-respect. Build habits that reinforce your mental toughness. Stay steady, stay confident. Because when you do, you don't just survive rejection, you rise above it. And that's a kind of power that draws people in naturally, quietly, and irresistibly. Number 8, idealism over realism. Idealism can be beautiful, dreaming of the perfect outcome, envisioning the world as it should be, holding on to the hope that things will line up exactly the way you want them. But here's the truth you need to grasp. Idealism without a solid grip on reality can be a serious weakness. Especially when it comes to dealing with women's psychology, understanding this dynamic gives you an edge. When someone is locked in idealism, they're often blind to the practical steps, the real deal beneath the surface, and that's where you come in. You have the power to see through the haze, stay grounded, and make moves with clarity that others can't match. You've probably heard the Stoics talk about focusing on what you can control and accepting what you can't. Epictetus said it best: make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. This isn't just philosophy, it's a mindset that separates those who succeed from those who get stuck chasing illusions. When women lean too heavily on idealism, they get caught up in what could be rather than what is. This can make them hesitant, indecisive, or overly optimistic in ways that cloud their judgment. Meanwhile, you can be the calm force of realism, the one who understands the game, reads between the lines, and takes action where it matters. Here, where you need to act. Don't fall into the trap of matching idealism with idealism. Instead, build your strength on realism. Be the guy who sees things clearly, who plans based on facts and not fantasies. This doesn't mean you're cynical or cold. It means you're smart, strategic, and unstoppable. Women, like everyone else, respect and respond to those who bring certainty into uncertainty, who anchor themselves in truth even when everything around them is swirling in possibilities. You want to sharpen this skill. Start practicing right now. When you're thinking about a situation or a relationship, challenge yourself to pause and ask, what do I really know? What's the hard truth here? Don't let your mind wander into what if territory without checking back in with reality. Take notes, even mentally, of where you or others might be glossing over facts because they want the story to be prettier than it is. This exercise trains your brain to cut through illusions and stay grounded, giving you a massive advantage. Another powerful move is to get comfortable with discomfort. Idealism often tries to shield people from harsh truths, but the Stoics teach us to lean into discomfort instead of avoiding it. Reminded himself, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. When you encounter situations where idealism clashes with reality, don't run away or sugarcoat it. Face it head on. Accept the challenge, work through it, and use it as fuel to get stronger. That's how you grow unstoppable. Practical exercises can help you build this muscle daily. Try this. Whenever you find yourself or someone else caught up in a fantasy about how things should be, take a moment to verbalize the reality out loud or in writing. For example, if you catch yourself thinking, "She'll definitely change her mind," or "This will work out perfectly," stop and reframe it to, "What if she doesn't change? What if it does?" Force yourself to sit with those uncomfortable possibilities. This isn't negativity. It's realism preparing you for real-world success. Also, practice gratitude for the present moment and what's already true, instead of longing for something better that may never come. The Stoics believe that contentment comes from embracing what is, not chasing after what is. This mindset will give you clarity and power in your interactions. When you are clear, grounded, and unshaken by unrealistic hopes, you become someone who naturally attracts respect and influence. Now here's the final kicker. Idealism can be a psychological lever. When you recognize it in others, you hold power. You can steer conversations, decisions, and emotions by gently bringing people back to reality. But you have to do it with tact, patience, and calm authority, not arrogance or frustration. Show that you're the one with the steady mind and the level head. Women, like everyone else, gravitate toward that strength because it feels safe and reliable. So, are you ready to step into this mindset, to trade fleeting fantasies for lasting power, to harness the strength of realism while still dreaming big but smart? Start today. Practice noticing the gap between idealism and reality in yourself and others. Anchor yourself in the present truth. Use Stoic wisdom as your guide. Because when you do, you don't just gain power, you become unstoppable. Number 9, attachment to comfort zones. Here's the truth you need to own. Most people, women included, cling to their comfort zones like it's their lifeline. It's where everything feels safe, predictable, and under control. That attachment to comfort zones is one of the biggest psychological weaknesses you can learn to recognize and use to your advantage. Why? Because comfort zones create resistance to change, growth, and real challenge. When you understand this, you start seeing how powerful it is to push beyond your own limits while others stay stuck inside their safe bubbles. Stoicism teaches us that comfort is a trap, a cage disguised as ease. As Seneca said, "The greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today." Comfort zones are cozy, sure, but they're also where potential goes to die. When people stay too long inside their little bubble, they become resistant to new ideas, slow to adapt, and less willing to take risks. That resistance is exactly where you can step in and take the lead. When you break your own limits and force yourself into new territory, you're not just growing, you're becoming the kind of man who stands out effortlessly. Women are wired to notice that strength, that courage to face discomfort head-on. It's magnetic, it screams, "I'm not afraid of life." So how do you use this knowledge? First, start by recognizing comfort zones in yourself and others. Think about the habits, the routines, the mental loops that keep you and those around you from stretching into something greater. Maybe it's the safe conversations, the predictable weekend plans, or the reluctance to challenge the status. When you see this in others, you gain power, not by pushing or forcing, but by simply refusing to get stuck yourself. Be the example of someone who welcomes discomfort, because you know that's where growth lives. Here's a practical way to start. Every week, do something that feels a little uncomfortable. It doesn't have to be extreme. It could be speaking up in a group when normally you'd stay quiet, trying a new activity, or simply changing your routine. This isn't about reckless risk-taking. It's about deliberately expanding your boundaries. Over time, your comfort zone grows, and what once felt risky becomes normal. This practice sharpens your mind and builds resilience, the core of Stoic strength. As Epictetus said, difficulties are things that show a person what they are. When you keep stretching, you'll notice that most people around you won't. They'll retreat back to what they know, to what feels safe. This is where your power grows. You become the guy who pushes forward while others hesitate. You develop a presence that naturally attracts. And make no mistake, this goes beyond just attraction. It's about influence, control, and respect. People want to follow those who aren't afraid of the unknown, who hold steady in the face of uncertainty. One thing to watch out for: don't confuse comfort with happiness. They're not the same. Comfort is often a mask hiding fear, fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of change. But real happiness, real fulfillment comes from growth, from mastering yourself and your environment. The Stoics were masters at this mindset. Wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, discomfort isn't a dead end. It's the path forward. When you embrace discomfort, you embrace progress. Now, think about how this applies in your interactions and relationships. When you're calm, collected, and always moving forward, you're not easily swayed by others' attachments to comfort. You see their hesitation clearly. You understand that their resistance is natural but also exploitable, not in a manipulative way, but by positioning yourself as the leader who pulls them forward. This dynamic gives you leverage. Women feel drawn to that energy, the kind that says, "I'm ready for more, and I'll bring you with me if you want it." To make this a habit, commit to one daily check-in. Ask yourself, am I choosing comfort over growth right now? Notice the times you opt for the easy way out, then challenge yourself to do the opposite. It's in these small moments that your mindset shifts from passive to unstoppable. Your comfort zone will start to stretch and warp until it fits a new version of you, stronger, bolder, more in control. Remember, comfort zones are safe but dull. If you want to be powerful, irresistible, and unstoppable, you must walk the path of discomfort willingly and with purpose. The Stoics didn't promise an easy ride, but they did promise a worthwhile one. Take the lesson, apply it, and watch as your life, and the way others see you, transforms. Number 10. Difficulty setting boundaries. One thing you need to understand if you want to hold real power, whether in relationships, business, or life, is how boundaries work. Women, just like anyone else, often struggle with setting clear boundaries. This isn't some attack or judgment. It's simply a reality you can observe and use to your advantage if you're wise enough. When boundaries blur or don't exist, control shifts. And the Stoics teach us that understanding where power lies starts with recognizing limits, both your own and others. Imagine this: when someone doesn't firmly say no, when they hesitate to protect their own space or time, it creates gaps. Those gaps, they're openings for you to step in and influence, to lead the dynamic. Women, on average, tend to be more accommodating and less confrontational when it comes to setting these limits. That doesn't mean they're weak. It means they often prioritize harmony over confrontation, sometimes at the cost of their own needs. You want to notice this because it's not about taking advantage. It's about recognizing how power dynamics form. The person who respects and enforces boundaries, who knows where to draw the line and when to pull back, is the one who commands respect. The Stoic philosopher Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Think about that when you interact with someone who struggles to set boundaries. Much of their hesitation comes from fear, fear of rejection, of conflict, of upsetting the flow. You, however, can be the calm force that doesn't shy away from boundaries. You can be the one who clearly defines what is acceptable and what isn't, who confidently claims their own space without apology. But this isn't just about putting up walls. It's about mastering yourself first so that you know exactly what you want and won't settle for less. That's the real power. So your task is to practice defining your own boundaries with absolute clarity. What are your non-negotiables? What will you accept and what will you refuse? When you know this, you're not just reacting, you're leading the interaction. Here's a practical way to start. The next time you find yourself in a situation where someone's behavior crosses your comfort zone, whether that's a woman, a friend, or a colleague, pause and take a breath. Don't immediately react emotionally or get defensive. Instead, calmly assert yourself. Use clear, simple language. I'm not okay with that, or I need this to be different. Practice this regularly. At first, it might feel uncomfortable because you're breaking old habits. But discomfort is your ally here. It's the signal that you're growing. Another essential piece to this puzzle is understanding that setting boundaries isn't about controlling others. It's about controlling yourself. Epictetus taught that it's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters. When you hold firm boundaries, you're managing your reactions and your energy. You're not a victim of circumstance. You're the one steering the ship. Women who struggle to set boundaries often don't have this internal mastery. They might say yes when they mean no, or avoid conflict to keep things smooth. This creates openings for you to step in and quietly take the lead, showing strength without aggression. You're not overpowering, you're guiding. The strongest men don't need to yell or force. It's the subtle, consistent line drawing that shifts the balance. Make it a habit to check in with yourself daily. Where have you compromised too much? Where have you stayed silent when you should have spoken up? Journal it if you have to. Awareness is the first step to change. The moment you recognize you've let someone overstep, you can course correct. Remember, power isn't about dominating others. It's about mastering your own mind and setting the rules of engagement that serve you best. When you do this consistently, you don't just gain respect, you create a dynamic where others willingly follow because they see your strength and clarity. So take action now. Start small. Set one boundary today. It might be as simple as deciding not to answer a message right away or saying no to something that drains you. Feel the strength that comes from owning your space. Then build on it. Because this trait, this ability to stand firm and calm while others waver, is the core of unstoppable masculine power. You're not just a player in the game, you're the one setting the board. Remember, understanding these psychological dynamics isn't about manipulation, it's about awareness and self-mastery. When you grasp the subtle ways minds work, you gain the power to influence not through force, but through wisdom and presence. If you found this breakdown of female psychological tendencies eye-opening, imagine what mastering your own mindset could do. The true power lies in combining knowledge with the calm, unwavering strength of a Stoic mindset. So if you're serious about gaining real influence and building deeper connections, hit that like button, subscribe for more mind-expanding content, and share your thoughts below. Which insight surprised you the most? Stay sharp, stay steady, and remember, power isn't given, it's earned through understanding and discipline. Until next time, keep cultivating that inner strength. He who is brave is free. Seneca. What if I told you that the moment you stop chasing someone, the entire dynamic of attraction shifts, and not in the way most people expect? You see, when you constantly pursue, you hand over your power, your attention, and your calm to someone else. And somewhere deep down, most women notice this, even if they don't say it out loud. In this video, we're diving into 10 harsh truths women realize when you stop chasing them, And these aren't just superficial observations. They're rooted in timeless Stoic wisdom about self-mastery, dignity, and emotional independence. You'll discover why pulling back doesn't mean losing, why restraint can actually amplify respect, and how stepping into your own calm can change how others see you completely. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand the subtle shifts in perception that occur when you stop chasing, but you'll also gain actionable insights to maintain your inner power while navigating relationships with clarity and confidence. Stay with me till the very last point, because each truth builds on the next, and missing even one could mean overlooking the key to unlocking your full presence, your genuine attraction, and your freedom. Number 1, you stop giving them the attention they've taken for granted. When you stop chasing, something shifts almost immediately. The energy you once poured into constant texts, calls, or checking in evaporates, and you start reclaiming the attention you had been freely giving away. You see, there's a profound truth here. Attention is a currency. Once said, the things you think about determine the quality of your mind. If your mind is constantly consumed by someone who doesn't value your presence, that currency is wasted. By stepping back, you stop fueling a dynamic that has been quietly taking from you. It's not about playing games or being cold. It's about protecting your mental space, your dignity, and your calm. You start focusing on yourself instead, and in that focus, you rediscover power you forgot you had. This isn't a theoretical exercise, it's a practice. Start by noticing where your attention goes. Are you reaching out of habit, anxiety, or hope that things will change? When you catch yourself slipping into old patterns, pause, breathe. Ask yourself, is this attention truly serving me, or am I just feeding a cycle that leaves me drained? Stoicism teaches us to recognize what is within our control and what is not. You cannot control how someone responds to your energy, but you can control whether you give it freely or wisely. This awareness is liberating. Now imagine the ripple effect when you stop giving away attention that's been taken for granted. Suddenly, interactions feel lighter, freer. You're no longer chasing validation from someone else. Instead, you're anchored in your own values and priorities. You can devote that energy to mastering yourself, reading, reflecting, improving. Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. By withdrawing automatic attention, you're reshaping your reaction, cultivating composure, and reinforcing your self-respect. Here, how to practice this daily. Set clear boundaries for yourself. Decide on specific times you will engage and hold firm. Reduce impulsive messages or calls. When the urge strikes, journal instead. Reflect on your goals, your growth, or your passions. Each time you redirect your attention, you're exercising the Stoic muscle of self-discipline. You're teaching your mind that your energy is precious and non-negotiable. And here's the subtle, often overlooked truth. When you stop chasing, the dynamic changes not just for you, but for them. They notice the absence of constant attention. There's a quiet shock that comes with realizing that what they assumed was guaranteed, your time, your focus, is no longer automatic. This isn't manipulation, it's natural consequence. You are no longer a convenient option. You are someone with boundaries, self-respect, and inner calm. But the real transformation happens inside. You start feeling lighter, freer, more aligned with your values. You're no longer tethered to the highs and lows of someone else's validation. You reclaim mental clarity, emotional stability, and a renewed sense of purpose. This is the Stoic path, detachment from external outcomes while remaining fully engaged with your own growth. So take action today. Begin small. Limit the automatic attention you give. Observe your impulses, question them. Replace them with intentional focus on yourself. Each step builds momentum. Each moment of self-discipline reinforces your autonomy. And as you continue, you'll notice a profound shift. not because they change, but because you have. You stand firm, calm, and undistracted, living by the principle that your energy, your time, and your attention are yours to steward wisely. That realization alone is more powerful than any external validation ever could be. Number 2, your absence highlights their own insecurities. One of the harshest truths you'll notice when you stop chasing someone is how your absence acts like a mirror, reflecting not just your independence, but also their own insecurities. When you step back, stop pursuing, and let yourself exist without constantly seeking their approval, something shifts. You're no longer the one bending, accommodating, or proving your worth. It's now them who must confront a gap that your presence once filled. And it's uncomfortable, isn't it? That discomfort isn't about you, it's about them. Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. You see, the very act of withdrawing isn't meant to punish. It's a test, a natural consequence that exposes hidden fears, unmet needs, and the fragile ego that often hides behind charm or confidence. This is where most people falter. They panic, they chase harder, or they try to fill the space again to soothe the discomfort they see in others. But here's the power in restraint. When you step back, you're giving them a chance to see themselves honestly. The emptiness you create isn't emptiness at all. It's a spotlight. It highlights patterns of thought, reactions, and the areas where they've relied too heavily on external validation. You're not responsible for fixing their insecurities. Your responsibility is mastering your own mind, your own peace. Wrote, if someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth, by which no one was ever truly harmed. In this context, that truth applies inward. Focus on yourself first and let the world reveal itself. Practically, how do you embody this? Start by cultivating a daily practice of internal reflection. Spend 10 minutes each morning observing your desires. What are you chasing and why? Ask yourself, am I moving because of fear, expectation, or genuine alignment with my values? Journal your thoughts, because writing uncovers patterns your mind alone often misses. Then, practice deliberate absence. Don't disappear in a cold or passive-aggressive way. Simply step back, reduce the intensity of pursuit, and watch the natural unfolding. You'll notice shifts, not in yourself, but in how others react. That's not to manipulate, it's to preserve your energy and reinforce your boundaries. As you do this, train your mind to stay unmoved by external validation. When you resist the urge to fill gaps or chase approval, you're exercising the Stoic principle that your worth is not dictated by others. Seneca wrote, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality." Allow their insecurities to exist as they are. Don't feed them with your anxiety or attention. Let silence, space, and consistency in your own life do the teaching. You're sending a clear message without words. Your presence is a gift, not a tool, and your life will not be dictated by another's comfort or fear. Finally, embrace the liberating discomfort. It's a strange truth, but the moment you stop chasing, the world begins to mirror back your inner stability. Your absence doesn't make you powerless, it makes you sovereign. You're exercising self-respect, clarity, and the kind of quiet confidence that no external reaction can shake. Every time you notice someone unsettled by your distance, let it remind you, you are no longer entangled in their emotional turbulence. You are free. And in that freedom lies your growth, your peace, and the unmistakable realization that true power is found not in pursuit, but in presence, integrity, and unwavering self-mastery. Number 3, they realize validation isn't automatic. It must be earned. When you stop chasing, something subtle shifts, not just in the way others perceive you, but in the way you perceive yourself. One of the harsh truths that surfaces is this: validation isn't something anyone owes you. It's not automatic, it's not guaranteed, and it's certainly not a right you carry simply because you exist or because you desire attention. This is hard to swallow at first, because so much of modern life is built on the illusion that recognition and approval should flow freely like water from a faucet. But as the Stoics remind us, he who indulges in empty praise is weak. He who seeks no praise is strong. Seneca. The moment you let go of chasing, you begin to internalize that truth. You start to see that the only validation that truly matters, the one that carries weight, the one that endures, is the kind you give yourself. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking someone else's admiration will make you whole, but chasing it, that's a fool's errand. The moment you stop running after it, you reclaim control. You become the arbiter of your own worth, and that in itself is magnetic. People notice strength. People notice calm self-possession. They notice a man whose confidence isn't tied to their approval. And in that silence, in that withdrawal of effort to please, the harsh truth settles in. Admiration must be earned. It must be recognized as a choice someone makes, not a default response. The practical shift here is profound. Start by setting clear boundaries around your attention and energy. Stop seeking validation for the small things, the likes, the comments, the fleeting approval, and invest instead in what you control: your habits, your discipline, your mindset. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Your actions, your consistency, your ability to uphold your principles, these are the things that carry weight. When you focus on them, when you cultivate competence and character without expectation, validation becomes a natural byproduct, not a desperate pursuit. You can practice this every day. Begin with one simple exercise. Choose an area of your life, your work, your health, your learning, and commit to excellence purely for the sake of mastery. No applause, no acknowledgement, no social media posts. Just the quiet, relentless pursuit of being better than you were yesterday. Watch how this changes your internal dialogue. Observe how your energy shifts when you stop bending it toward pleasing others. You'll notice a subtle confidence arising, one that doesn't plead or perform. Another way to internalize this is through reflection. At the end of each day, journal, not about what anyone else thought or said about you, but about what you did well, where you exercised self-discipline, and where you stayed true to your principles. This is the Stoic antidote to external validation. Wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Your focus isn't on convincing the world of your worth. It's on demonstrating it quietly, consistently, in ways that matter. That's what earns recognition naturally. When you finally stop chasing, you'll notice an interesting shift in others too. The people who once expected you to bend, to seek their approval, begin to see you differently. They realize that admiration isn't a given. It's something they must decide to grant, and only in that realization do they truly value you. That awareness is liberating because it teaches a deeper lesson. Worth isn't negotiated, it's embodied. And you, by stopping the chase, have reclaimed the most valuable form of validation there is, your own. This is your call to action. Stop pouring energy into chasing attention. Redirect it. Cultivate discipline, integrity, and self-respect. Do the inner work every single day, and watch as the world begins to recognize not what you ask for, but what you naturally embody. That is the Stoic way. That is the power of earning your own validation. Number 4, they see the value of independence and self-reliance. When you stop chasing, something shifts, not just in how others perceive you, but in how you carry yourself. One of the most profound truths they begin to notice is the value of independence and self-reliance. You see, there's a subtle power in someone who doesn't need constant validation, who doesn't hinge their happiness on attention or approval. Once reminded us, very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. That's exactly it. You become someone who cultivates contentment from within, and suddenly, You're no longer dependent on anyone else's reactions to feel whole. Imagine waking up and knowing that your peace isn't negotiable. That sense of freedom, of self-sufficiency, radiates in everything you do. It's a magnetic kind of calm that draws attention not because you're chasing it, but because you've built it internally. People notice it immediately, even if they can't quite put a finger on it. They sense that you're not scrambling for approval, not bending your will to fit someone else's desires, and that in itself is powerful. It forces them to recognize the value of standing on their own 2 feet. To embrace this fully, start small but deliberate. Commit to moments of solitude where you resist the urge to seek external reassurance. Also said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Let that sink in. Each time you feel the urge to chase, pause, observe your thoughts. Ask yourself, do I want this because it serves me or because I want their approval? This simple reflection rewires your mind to favor autonomy. Build habits that reinforce your self-reliance. Take charge of your mornings, your routines, your projects, your growth. When you focus on your own development, physically, mentally, emotionally, you're investing in a version of yourself that doesn't wobble depending on someone else's attention. You cultivate resilience. You cultivate discipline. You cultivate freedom. And that freedom is visible to everyone around you. It can't be hidden. People start to recognize that you're not just existing, you're thriving on your own terms. It's not about creating distance out of arrogance or coldness. It's about fostering a sense of stability and strength that doesn't rely on external forces. Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. You embody this principle when you stop chasing. Your reactions, your calmness, your unwavering sense of self demonstrate independence in action. It's infectious. It makes others rethink their own habits of dependency. They see that you can enjoy life fully without clinging to validation, and it's a revelation. So you take deliberate steps. Practice saying no when something doesn't align with your values. Carve out time to explore your own interests and passions. Meditate, journal, reflect, or simply sit with your thoughts without distraction. Each moment you do this, you reinforce that your happiness is yours alone to govern. And here's the subtle twist. As you embody this, they start to feel it too. They realize the magnetism of someone who isn't available on demand, who isn't tethered to expectations, and they confront their own reliance on external affirmation. This is not about proving anything to anyone. It's about proving everything to yourself. As you embrace independence, the truth becomes clear. The power of self-reliance doesn't just change how others see you, it transforms how you see yourself. You stop seeking, you start owning, and in that ownership, life itself becomes richer, calmer, and more controlled. That's the essence of Stoicism in practice. Mastering your inner world so that no external pursuit, no chase, no approval can dictate your peace. And when you live this way, the lesson others inevitably learn is simple but profound. They see the true value of standing on their own. Number 5, your calm detachment exposes their emotional reactions. When you step back and stop chasing, something remarkable happens. Your calm detachment starts to act like a mirror, reflecting not your emotions, but theirs. Seneca once said, "He suffers more than necessary who suffers before it is necessary." By refusing to react to every pull, push, or drama, you stop suffering on someone else's timetable. And in that space, their true feelings, hesitation, frustration, longing, irritation, begin to surface naturally. You don't need to prod, question, or manipulate. Your steady presence alone exposes the reactions that were previously masked by your eagerness or pursuit. There's power in that kind of stillness, and it's a power that isn't aggressive. It's subtle, almost invisible, yet incredibly effective. You have to understand this. People reveal themselves not when you chase, but when you stop. Epictetus reminds us, It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This isn't about making someone chase you for the sake of pride or ego. It's about reclaiming your energy, anchoring your inner calm, and refusing to let another person's mood dictate your peace. The moment you detach, you begin to see interactions clearly, without the fog of desire clouding your judgment. Their emotional reactions become transparent, moments of impatience, moments of interest, moments of doubt, and you gain insight into their true character. Here's the exercise. Start by practicing presence without expectation. The next time you feel the urge to text, call, or pursue, pause. Take 3 deep breaths. Remind yourself that your worth is independent of their reaction. You're not ignoring them to punish. You're responding like a Stoic. You're observing without attachment, and that shift in perspective is revolutionary. Every time you maintain your composure in the face of emotional turbulence, you strengthen your mental resilience. You stop being a participant in their drama and start being an observer of human behavior, which is where real clarity lives. Another practical way to train this muscle is reflection. Each night, ask yourself, did I react out of neediness, or did I stay grounded in my own peace? Did I allow someone else's emotional currents to sway me? This isn't about judgment, it's about awareness. Awareness builds freedom. It's the subtle, everyday exercises, the pauses, the deep breaths, the conscious choices to remain detached, that accumulate into a profound ability to influence without pushing, to observe without interfering, and to remain unshaken even as others display their unrest. Remember, Stoicism teaches that our happiness and inner peace are entirely within our control. You cannot control how they feel or what they do, but you can control your own response. By cultivating calm detachment, you essentially become untouchable by the chaos of their emotions. You're like a rock in a stream. Water crashes, splashes, and foams around you, but you remain steady. And here's the subtle truth. In that steadiness, they notice. Your composure becomes a mirror, showing them what it feels like to be confronted with someone unshakable, someone who isn't reacting to every wave. So take action today. Stop chasing. Stop reacting. Begin practicing calm observation. Let your detachment speak louder than words. Use your energy to cultivate your own growth, your own clarity, your own peace. And watch as the emotional reactions you once chased now unfold naturally before you, giving you insight, freedom, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing your happiness rests in your hands and yours alone. As said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Number 6, they recognize who truly respects boundaries. When you stop chasing, something profound begins to happen. Suddenly, they start noticing who genuinely respects boundaries. And this isn't about some manipulative game or strategy. It's about clarity, honesty, and showing that you value yourself first. In the words of Epictetus, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Boundaries are part of what's in your control. When you hold them firmly, you're not only protecting your own peace, you're showing others that respect is non-negotiable. That's magnetic, not in the flashy sense, but in a way that draws authentic connection and repels the shallow. You have to understand this. Respecting boundaries isn't passive, it's active. It's choosing to say no when something doesn't align with your values. It's keeping your time sacred. It's pausing before reacting, before letting someone else dictate your emotional state. When you stop chasing, you stop bending yourself into shapes that don't fit your own life. And when you do that consistently, it's impossible for someone to miss. They begin to see the difference between someone who truly honors themselves and someone who will allow themselves to be led around like a puppet. Seneca said, "It is the power of the mind to be unconquerable." By maintaining your limits, you're unconquerable. You're calm. You're steady. That steadiness communicates more than words ever could. This is a lesson in patience and self-respect. You start to notice who pushes against your boundaries not in malice, but in curiosity, in effort to understand your space without breaking it. And then there's the other kind, the ones who test, ignore, or outright dismiss. They become crystal clear because you're no longer chasing them. That clarity is a gift. It tells you exactly who deserves your attention and who doesn't. And let me be real with you. The sooner you internalize this, the sooner you stop wasting energy on people who don't value what you bring to the table. Here's the practical part. Start small. Pick one boundary today. Maybe it's your time, your mental space, or your emotional energy. Defend it gently but firmly. Notice how it feels to honor yourself first. It's not arrogance, it's mastery. Write it down, remind yourself, meditate on it. Every time you enforce it, you're building a kind of inner strength that radiates outward. People notice it. Stoics remind us, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Your actions, not your words, show respect for yourself and teach others how to treat you. As you practice this, you'll start to observe a shift. Those who respect your boundaries are drawn closer naturally. Those who don't, they drift away. And that's perfectly fine. This is not about punishing anyone. It's about aligning your life with people who elevate rather than drain you. You'll find that your peace deepens, your focus sharpens, and your confidence grows. You're no longer bending to fit the expectations of others. You're living on your own terms. So take action. Choose today to honor your space, your mind, your energy. Don't chase. Don't compromise. Hold your boundaries with calm courage. In doing so, you'll attract authenticity and respect, and you'll finally experience the freedom that comes from being unapologetically yourself. Remember, it's not about controlling others. It's about mastering yourself. And in that mastery, everything else falls into place naturally. Number 7. They notice your time and energy are finite resources. When you stop chasing, something subtle but profound begins to happen. They start noticing that your time and energy aren't endless. It's not about being cold or indifferent, it's about being deliberate. You start guarding the hours of your day, the energy that drives your thoughts, your focus, and your emotions. As Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." When you stop pouring yourself into chasing someone else's approval, you're reclaiming what's truly yours. Every conversation you choose to engage in, every commitment you accept, every ounce of your focus becomes intentional. You begin to operate from a place of value rather than obligation. This isn't just a shift in behavior, it's a shift in perception. They can sense it, even if they don't say it outright. There's a quiet magnetism in a person who recognizes their own limits and refuses to be scattered by the whims of others. Energy is like currency. Once spent, it's gone. If they notice you are not willing to drain yourself endlessly, it forces them to confront their own assumptions about attention, effort, and desire. They start to understand that the energy you give is not a given. It's a gift that they have to earn, or at the very least, respect. You can begin practicing this shift today. Start by mapping out where your energy actually goes. Write down the people, tasks, and obligations that pull at you the most. Then ask yourself, which of these deserve my full attention and which are just noise? Epictetus taught, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Your energy is in your power. How you allocate it defines your life. When you internalize this, you stop running in circles trying to be everything for everyone. Instead, you focus on what matters, and you do it with presence, with clarity, with intention. Another exercise is to schedule deliberate moments of self-care and reflection. It could be as simple as setting aside 15 minutes in the morning to decide your priorities for the day, or an evening ritual where you evaluate what consumed your energy wisely and what drained you unnecessarily. This isn't indulgence, it's mastery. The more you practice this, the more your presence itself becomes a statement. that your time and energy are finite, that you honor them, and that anyone who wants a part of you must respect that boundary. When you operate this way, you stop chasing out of fear or habit. You chase nothing. You move with intention, with calm, with purpose, and the effect is magnetic, even silent. People start to notice not because you demand attention, but because your life now has weight. It has rhythm. Your actions have consequence. There's an invisible respect that forms around someone who doesn't scatter themselves, someone who doesn't chase endlessly. They realize that if they want you, they need to meet you where you are, not drag you into where they think you should be. So adopt this habit of valuing your energy as if it were gold. Practice the art of selective engagement. Observe where your efforts go, measure your attention, and remind yourself daily that your time is not infinite. Said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Your energy, your focus, your time, they are all reflections of your mind's sovereignty. Respect them, guard them, and use them to build the life you actually want. When you do, not only will others notice, but you'll also find that the quiet power of restraint, the calm mastery over your own life, is far more satisfying than any approval you could ever chase. Number 8, they confront the reality of their own expectations. When you stop chasing, when you step back and release the relentless pursuit, something subtle but profound happens. They confront the reality of their own expectations. And this isn't just a passing thought. It's a quiet, sometimes unsettling reckoning with who they are, what they want, and how much of their desire was fueled by projection rather than reality. You see, the moment you stop bending yourself to fit someone else's imagined ideal, the mirror is held up, not to judge them, but to reflect honestly. And in that reflection, they see the truth they may have been avoiding, the truth about what they expect from others, and perhaps the truth about what they've been expecting from life itself. Once wrote, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will gladly change, for I seek the truth by which no one was ever truly harmed." This is the essence of confronting expectations. When you withdraw the chase, you give space for reflection. You create a calm that forces the mind to look inward. And when that happens, they have to reckon with their own standards. Were they seeking connection, attention, or validation? Were the expectations rooted in reality, or were they colored by idealized fantasies? This confrontation is uncomfortable because it demands honesty, something many avoid. Here, where it gets powerful for you, you don't need to fix them. You don't need to validate or explain yourself. The act of stepping back is a lesson in self-mastery, and in that space, you are exercising one of the most potent Stoic tools, control over your own actions and emotions. Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. By choosing not to chase, you reclaim your agency. You stop reacting to external expectations and start aligning with your inner compass. And paradoxically, this clarity often illuminates their own misalignment. Practical exercises can help you anchor this habit. Start with a daily reflection. Each night, ask yourself, am I acting according to my values or am I chasing approval? Write it down, feel it, and let it guide your next day. Then practice intentional withdrawal in small ways. Resist the urge to text first, to over-explain, or to seek constant reassurance. Observe the quiet that follows. In this stillness, their expectations will meet reality, and yours will meet integrity. You can also embrace what Seneca called the premeditation of obstacles. Imagine the scenarios where people will not meet your expectations, where they might misunderstand or resist your boundaries. Picture it clearly, then return to your center. This mental rehearsal prepares you for calm detachment while reinforcing that your peace does not depend on someone else's desires. The most transformative moment comes when you realize this is a two-way gift. You are freed from the exhausting cycle of pursuit, and they are confronted with a choice: adapt, reflect, or continue in denial. It's not your responsibility to steer them. Your responsibility is to master yourself. And by doing so, you are embodying a principle that all Stoics revered: inner freedom over external approval. So take action today. Step back. Observe your impulses to chase and question them. Reflect on your own expectations and whether they serve you or someone else's image of you. Commit to responding from clarity, not compulsion. The truth about expectations is rarely comfortable, but it is always liberating. When you stop chasing, the world doesn't collapse, it clarifies. And in that space, both you and they confront the realities that truly matter. Number 9, they understand that desire cannot be forced. When you stop chasing, something profound happens. You begin to realize, and women realize too, that desire cannot be forced. It's not a transaction, a negotiation, or a game of persistence where your effort guarantees a result. Desire is organic, it's delicate, and it flows naturally or it doesn't flow at all. This is a truth that Stoics have understood for centuries. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." And chasing someone else's affection, that's exactly the kind of thing that lies beyond your control. The moment you grasp this, the whole dynamic shifts. You start letting go of the illusion that your value is tied to someone else's attention. You begin cultivating a quiet confidence, one that doesn't scream or plead but simply exists, and that's magnetic. You have to practice it deliberately. Each time a thought arises that says, "I need them to notice me," pause, breathe. Repeat to yourself, "I cannot control their desire. I can only control my own actions and choices." You are rewiring your mind to understand that authentic attraction emerges naturally, from mutual resonance, not from forced effort. You're training yourself to become the kind of person who commands respect and interest without demanding it. And here's the subtle magic. When you release the chase, when you step back, the other person begins to see you in a different light. They sense your independence, your inner calm, and your self-respect. Seneca reminds us, "No man is free who is not master of himself." The chase is the opposite of mastery. It is a tether, an invisible rope tying your emotions to someone else's actions. Every moment spent pursuing them aggressively weakens your autonomy, your mental clarity, your emotional strength. But when you stop, when you choose self-mastery over desperation, you reclaim your power. You're no longer reacting. You're acting from a place of wisdom, not impulse. And the more you cultivate this mindset, the more natural desire and admiration appear. Not because you forced it, but because you became someone worthy of it through your own composure and self-discipline. This is not a one-time realization, it's a habit. Every day, notice when your mind drifts into the pattern of chasing approval. Replace it with self-reflection. Ask yourself, am I seeking connection from a place of abundance or scarcity? Am I trying to make them like me, or am I simply being my best self? Engage in practices that strengthen your independence. Meditate, journal, or spend intentional time pursuing your passions. The Stoics teach that fulfillment is internal, not external. Your sense of completeness should never hinge on another's desire. By internalizing this, you not only free yourself, but also create the space for authentic attraction to occur. Desire cannot be manufactured, and chasing it is futile. But when you focus on mastery over your own mind, when you nurture your values, skills, and presence, desire naturally aligns with who you are. This is the quiet, undeniable truth that women recognize when you stop chasing. They see it in your calm demeanor, in your unshakable sense of self, in the effortless way you inhabit your life. And the lesson here is simple but transformative. Don't pursue what cannot be controlled. Pursue yourself. Build your mind, your character, your life. Let desire arise on its own. That is the kind of attraction that lasts. That is the kind of respect that endures. That is freedom. Number 10. Your lack of pursuit forces them to reflect on what they genuinely want. When you stop chasing, something subtle but profound happens. Your absence, your refusal to constantly seek validation or approval, forces a pause, a reflection in the other person that wouldn't exist if you were perpetually pursuing. It's not about playing games or testing their patience. It's about creating space. Seneca once said, "He who indulges in the things he cannot have is unhappy, for he has not yet learned to want what he can have." By stepping back, you are giving them the mirror to confront their desires, their intentions, and their clarity. And here's the truth: clarity is uncomfortable. People are forced to ask themselves, do I want this because I genuinely value it, or have I been clinging to what's easy, familiar, or habitual? When you stop chasing, you break the rhythm of expectation. That constant push-pull dynamic disappears, and suddenly the other person is left with their own thoughts. They realize that your presence is not a guarantee, that your attention isn't automatic. This absence triggers introspection, and it's in introspection that real understanding surfaces. They start to discern between fleeting interest and deep connection. They begin to see what truly aligns with their values, desires, and priorities. You become a catalyst not by forcing change, but by simply being steadfast, autonomous, and consistent in your own life. Here, where the Stoic practice comes in, observe without interference. Wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Your thoughts, your choices, your self-mastery, they create ripples without a single word." This is where you start to exercise what Epictetus taught: focus only on what is within your control. You cannot make someone reflect, decide, or act, but you can control whether you chase, compromise, or diminish your own value. This is your power. The exercise is simple. Each day, consciously step back from behaviors driven by the need for approval. Stop checking for messages. Stop initiating contact for validation. Stop altering your schedule to be available at a whim. Just step back. As you practice this, pay attention to your internal dialogue. When impulses to chase arise, journal them. Write down the urge, where it comes from, and remind yourself that your worth is not measured by someone else's attention. You are cultivating independence, and through your independence, you inadvertently become a mirror for them to confront their own desires. They may feel discomfort. They may feel uncertainty. That's the point. True desire is tested by absence. It reveals itself only when there's no chasing, no bending, no constant pursuit. This isn't about punishment or manipulation. It's about clarity for both of you. You are teaching through action the value of self-containment. You are modeling calm, deliberate detachment. Every time you resist the urge to chase, you reinforce your boundaries and demonstrate that your focus is on growth, purpose, and alignment with your principles, not on pleasing others at the expense of yourself. A practical exercise is to commit to 1 week of intentional non-chasing. Do not initiate contact, do not seek constant reassurance, do not alter your plans for someone else's convenience. Instead, fill that time with your own growth. Read, reflect, exercise, meditate, pursue a goal. Observe how they respond, not with judgment, but with detached curiosity. Notice the shifts in energy, the clarity that emerges, and the strength you build in yourself. When you stop chasing, you allow life to reveal its truths. You create space for introspection, for understanding, for recognition of what is genuinely wanted rather than what is habitual or convenient. You teach, silently but powerfully, that attention is earned, and that the truest connections are those forged with clarity, desire, and authenticity. Your stillness becomes a lesson in presence and value, one that no words could ever convey as effectively. So now you know the 10 harsh truths women realize when you stop chasing them. But here's the deeper point. The lesson isn't just about relationships or attraction. It's about mastering yourself. When you stop seeking validation from others, you reclaim your power, your peace, and your purpose. Remember what the Stoics teach. Control what is within your power and let go of what is. Your energy is too precious to waste on chasing approval or clinging to outcomes that aren't yours to control. Focus on your growth, your clarity, and your values, and you'll find that life naturally aligns around you. If you take even one of these truths to heart, it will change the way you approach relationships, interactions, and even yourself. So, reflect on it, apply it, and notice how your world shifts. If this video gave you even a hint of clarity, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the next insights will take your self-mastery even further. Until next time, stay calm, stay grounded, and remember, your power is within, not in the chase.